Well, I hope that the people of the internet can hear me because I don't really have any ability to monitor myself yet. I'm using a MacBook Air, which is probably not up to the duty of this, and my microphone positioning is probably not super awesome. We have this on, for those of you who are here, we have this on color shift. That way, if the screen is just like this and I'm just standing over here doing nothing, as long as those colors are changing, you know that you are indeed live. I have successfully gotten the chat window to pop up. I'm doing the dual monitor thing. Yeah, loud and clear, people say. So Susan is here. I am here. You are all here. It's like the same thing that we always do, but I mean, I guess it's different somehow. It's the same camera. It's the same everything. I had to buy one thing to do this. So I have the monitor, which is right over here, so I can see what you see. And then over here, I have the chat in a tiny little window, and I will try to monitor that as best as I can. This is officially the test stream. This is the just making sure that the equipment does what we want it to do. It's the mic that I used to do all of my voiceover stuff with, so I know that works reasonably well. So I have to tell you one, and I have to tell you all that the fact that there's like a half a dozen people or so in the chat, it makes me very happy. You've all made me very happy on a Friday. 23. Okay, so I have a software thing over on the corner that is there's like OBS software is integrated with the YouTube Studio. And 26 concurrent viewers. What? You're making me feel all popular up over here, talking to 26 people at once. I'm not just gonna ramble. I mean, I do ramble. I ramble a lot. It's kind of the strength, the power, and the ability of the Canyon. But I knew that I would be here. I had an idea that I would be here, so I've set up stuff. I spent probably about 5 hours getting stuff ready for this. So we are going to ignore the fact that just out of frame over there and on the other side of the tire wall are an array of incomplete It Came From the Workbench series, because this doesn't technically count as an It Came From the Workbench installation. Though it is, I guess this is It Came From the live stream. This is what the hip kids are doing, right? Like they're building things. So we're gonna build a little thing. I am now. If you see me pause like this and not do anything, it's because I'm scrolling through the chat, and the chat is actually moving at a speed sufficient that I'm having a hard time keeping up with it. Which is that's where we want to be. Okay, yeah, there he is, right down there at the bottom. You can't see it, I can see it. So the gentleman from Romania sent something in via AliExpress, and he ordered it right at the cutoff second, because it is Chinese New Year right now. And for those of you out there who have ordered anything from AliExpress, anything, if you ordered it after February 1st, you're not going to see that for another 2 weeks, 2 to 3 weeks, probably. Like, nothing comes out of China for about an 18 to 20 day window. So he had ordered a chassis, this chassis right here, on either the 31st or February 1st. And not only did it get out, but this arrived 2 days ago. So save for one of the prior orders that I had done from Mias, this was fast, like 6 days from China. and they like to keep their shipping updates to an absolute minimum. It's like, your order has passed through customs. And then I'm coming home from the post office and there's just a package that they've whipped over the fence into the grass. And it was this little thing, and it is so light that when I took it out of the packaging and had to find an image on the internet to find out where the little pieces went, I don't quite understand this. But what we're going to do, the hope of what we're going to, yes, the Dragon chassis, what we're going to hope to do here is we're going to hope to build a little something out of this, out of things that people have donated, like this, and stuff that we have accumulated for, if you will remember, a few episodes back, we put some very expensive super shafty axles on Zoidberg, something that I would not buy for myself. I did some trading and some swapping. He's right here. This is probably going to be, I'm going to try not to hit the microphone. So Zoidberg is now on some of the fanciest wheels I've ever seen, and he is on these blingin' super shafty axles, front and rear. So when you convert a rig over to super shafty axles, and if you're ever presented with that ability, yeah, do it. I go and look up what they cost, and I go, yeah, I clutch my pearls, and my monocle fogs up. So it's not like it's something that I'm going to be running out and buying at any time. But because he got super shafty axles, inside of a Capra, aside from the front universals, which I had to order, pretty much everything is just AR-44 stuff. So we had enough to assemble this Capra front axle, and this Capra rear axle was very easy because he was four-wheel steer. I already had most of the parts for this. So we've got a pair of Capra axles. The same gentleman who provided me with the super shafty shafts dropped off this Three Brothers G14. I don't remember why he said that it had made him angry, but I guess apparently it had. So that's going to be the go-to test for that. Also, we'll pull this guy open. Just stupidity that was not documented. Undocumented stupidity. We converted him over. This wasn't an episode where we converted him over to the too low, and had to build a custom bracket to get it angled and to get everything to fit. He had a horrific click. Like horrific. Like a click the likes of which you have never heard nor seen. And I tried everything. I changed the drive shafts. I checked all the shimming in the axles. I did everything. And everything I would do, it would click, 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 click. The click was still there. So I bought another fake Tulo and put it in there and put it all back together. And you know it was still clicking. You absolutely know it was still clicking. And it absolutely was. So what it turned out was that it had a belt drive unit on it, and it was the belt drive, which is why he's got a spurn opinion on him now, and he doesn't click anymore now. So I spent like $150 on parts to fix a problem that wasn't even a problem, because what it was the small pulley, and we can exhibit, because here's the heart that's going in. This is Zoidberg's old gearbox. I think it's either the first or the, and yes, we're gonna put a belt drive on it and see if we can get a click. This was the first or second Amazon dig box I ever bought, and the pinion, you'll notice this is a 5mm bore pulley pinion. The old one was stripped out, so it was slipping on the D shaft and clicking. So that's what the noise was. It was something that I've never had to diagnose before, and I've never been able to find. So I think we're good now. This is indeed the Gold Can Big Block 540 that was traded for all the Ascent parts. This is one of the many 1080s that are around here. This was the Dig Servo in Zobazu before he got switched over to a Micro. So what I had to buy to do this, to build this, is I had to get the universals to finish this, and I was already ordering a bunch of tie rods for these. Here's the other ones. So when I was putting the order in at Deluxe, I was like, I could spend like $30 right now, or I could buy these like massive portal weights at the same time. So this is a heavy axle. I haven't weighed it, but it's definitely heavier than Daphne's axle. It's a big, heavy axle. I've got a couple of the links assembled. I think I have the lowers. I kind of just mocked it up in place and said, yeah, that looks about right. So we've got lowers. I have no uppers. We will hope to get to that. I mean, my goal would be to get it to roll back and forth on the bench. If we could do that, I would consider that we had done something on the borderline with amazing. In terms of like what to do about tires and wheels and etc., I'm not worried about it. There's yellows, ruptures. We've got those boggers. We've got rattle cats old with the. So these are complete, and we can try whatever, and we will try to get a proper wheeling installment of this up within the fortnight, at very least, at some point. So I think, and here's the hope. I don't know if I did too much in advance, but I had this overwhelming fear that this stuff wasn't going to work, and B, that I would just be floundering around out of frame trying to put things together while people just stare at a flashing sign. And I watch some streamers on YouTube, and maybe it's something that comes with time, but these are people that make it seem just overwhelmingly easy and effortless, and they sit down and they do 3, 4, 5, 6 hour streams. And yeah, I don't know if I could. I don't know if I would or if I could. But I do think that we can probably get something approximating. And here's a curiosity that I've got. This thing comes with some wild sliders for the side that assemble with spacers. And I look at it and I go, okay, but like why? Like the only point of a slider is to mount things to it, and you can't mount anything to it. I have the gain. Okay, let me get over here. Let me see if I can turn my gain down a little more. Like it definitely, if the audio is coming in as too hot, if it's spiking, let me know. I'm going to go for a minus 3 dB. All right. How is that? Is that better? Like, because I say I can't hear myself, and the only thing I have to do that I have to check monitoring with is an old set of Razer headphones, and they are terrible. It basically sounds like my audio is coming out of a bucket, and someone is holding the bucket at a distance. So I can't hear what you're hearing. So we go minus 3 dB. I can go minus 6 dB if maybe we can just turn that down. I realize now there's a little slider there. We learn together, and I'm using you all as the acid test here. Let's go grams. Yeah, this thing weighs 118 grams for the whole chassis with the skid, and we are probably. Hey, I'm not saying that all I'm not saying that all Razer headphones are crap. I'm just saying that mine, I think the cord is long enough to get it in frame. These have been around. Like if you give them a good rub, that fake suede stuff just pills up and falls off. They've been replaced. I don't think I ever used this. Yeah, so those date back to like my PlayStation 3. All right. Someone said maybe go minus 4. All right. Yeah, I mean, I think the mic is right. Okay, if you extended, okay, so right up here, I'm almost touching it. So the mic is right there. I would like it a little farther out over here. There's like stuff in the way, like tires and things. So, hey. Volume 2 from the owner of Steve. Steve has, hey, what's going on, everybody? Audio level is quite high on phone speakers. I believe it. All right, we'll try. Let's try minus 6 because I am getting up into the red a little bit. All right, how about now? At least the picture to me, my live monitor, that looks fine. I don't have blurry fingers. I don't have super blurry fingers. So I think we're pushing 30 frames per second. That's something. Personal direct, thank you for the cool content of the channel. Well, I am, if nothing else, I am here to help. Thank you all for joining me. And my plan was to do this tomorrow because, as I had mentioned, I am not a lifelong follower of hand egg, of American football. I've been watching a little bit of it recently. I think I've mentioned I've started watching some of the New Heights, the podcast, the Kelsey Brothers. And like I say, I watch a lot of channels that aren't things that I'm directly into because I get caught up in the personalities of it, and I like watching the Kelsey Brothers. So I had no recollection that the Super Bowl was on Sunday. So I was going to do this tomorrow, and then I get an email from one of y'all who asked if it would be all right if they came by the Canyon tomorrow. And no offense to the YouTube and the live streaming, but if people want to come over and play with toy cars in my yard, then I'm going to have to move my live stream to Friday instead of Saturday. This is not a guarantee that future live streams will be on Fridays. It might be Saturday. It might be Sunday. It's probably going to be around the weekend. I realize that you all are people that live in the real world and you got to do like jobs and other distasteful things like that. And as was said by the great philosopher Les Claypool of Primus, funny thing about weekends when you're unemployed, they don't mean quite so much. Except you get to hang out with all your working friends. So, I mean, I get the unemployment thing is am I? Like I have to, I guess we could weigh this axle. The amount of time that I spend on toy car and toy car content generation is 680 grams. I thought that Daphne's was heavy at like 575, but 675 on a plastic housing, no less. Those are tanky. So he will get no, if this is indeed, if it is the spirit of a he. I know I had talked to the gentleman from Romania that we need a partner for Toothless. We've got a Night Fury. We can build a Light Fury. We can paint it white, or we can paint it gray, or we can do something. This might be the Light Fury. We don't know yet. Right? And yes, those who know. In the chat, it says premise sucks. Those who know, yes, premise does suck. So, we thought we would get to see you in a live. Friend, let me tell you. The goal was to make the live look as close as possible to what you see every time you come in here. Because, and I had talked to this, we had another visitor in the Canyon, and I've gotten this question before where people have said, how come you're not in the videos? How come all we get is the lockpick lawyer? How come all we get is hands? And I said, well, because I'm nobody is the reasoning behind that. I'm here to talk about toy car stuff and my thoughts on toy car stuff, or if I'm reviewing a product or evaluating something. I think that the topic of that particular entrance should be warning. What is that? Okay, hold on. I got a warning. Okay, I just closed a dockable window. Oh, I have another window now. Moderation helps feel everyone feel safe, closed. Right? Oh, no, now I got two chat windows. The current bit rate is lower than, oh, okay. All right. So, that's fine. We're still dropping like we have too much minutia, and I get obsessed with minutia. And when there's like a big red, the triangle with the exclamation point in it, I thought everything was going to explode, but no, it just wants to warn me that something about my bit rate is lower than the something. I don't know. Top chat, live chat, fan funding. All right. I'm in SoCal, so I could be hours away or close to the canyon and not know it. Yeah, that's absolutely true. This is Southern California. When we say something is close, we're close to Vegas. That's like less than a 4-hour drive. So that's pretty close. If if traffic didn't exist, then everything would be close. But if I want to drive to Orange County, could be 45 minutes, could be 2.5 hours. We never know. We measure distances in time because, you know, and what freeways you have to take. So it looks and sounds just fine. Well, I am particularly glad. Yeah, we are. We're doing all right. Yes, I agree, Mr. Truitt. I agree. I wouldn't say that I'm unemployed because the amount of time spent doing this. I try not. Hey, Moreno Valley. Yes, you are right over on the. You're right over on the other side of the dump. It goes us, then the dump, then Moreno Valley. You're right over there. Yeah. So yeah, you're closer to the canyon than you would have known. I'm going to put a thing or two together here. Now Washington, that's far. Kentucky and the UK. Okay. So who's going to get farthest away? I have had a visitor indirectly visited the canyon. The gentleman who is the future owner of the CJ. He is from Israel. So he didn't fly from Israel to drive here. He was visiting his brother and he just drove out here, but I count it. So that's pretty far. And then when that Yoda drove bridge and tunnel, they're from Pennsylvania. So that's pretty far. We've got Canada and we've got a Norway and Wisconsin. And you know what's not popping up here? Where's Michigan? How are there no Michigans? I've had to send so many. There we go. I've had to send so many packages to Michigan, which nobody can really convince me that it's an actual place. Because the gentleman in question who I just sent the bumper off to, I wish I had. We might be able to. I'm going to wiggle the camera here. Watch this. We are going to get as meta as you can possibly get. If it'll load. No, it's not going to load. He has already received that bumper. Oh, there we go. There we go. Look at that. It's all the way over there in Michigan. And why this is relevant is he sent me a picture like 4 days ago, and it was just like everything was under slush and ice. That's green grass. I know that's a black and white picture, but that's green grass. So when I talk about Michigan having all of the weather all at once, well, it's green and grassy, but apparently also snowy at the same time. So I love when hopefully, as I had said, at some point one day on a video, the Flanco is somewhere between Southern California and Belgium. So hopefully when it arrives in Belgium, we'll get to see it. We'll get a picture from Erwin saying, here is a thing that you made, a thing that was made by a Bonafide, genuine idiot in a shed. And now it exists all the way on the other side of the world, so far as I know. Yeah, 40s. So if this thing works, and if I remember to assemble this thing correctly, it will be nothing shy of a miracle, because I lack the focus. Which way do I like these? I like them like this. All right. We gotta feel like we're doing something, right? And we power driver everything. You know how we do. That is a big screw. I think I already dinked it a little. Where's the VRD? The VRD is right down at the end of the bench. All it needs is paint. And I have gotten a little bit closer. We're a little bit closer than ever in that I meticulously, after I scanned, I can complain about this at some length. So you brought it up. So now you're going to get it. Proline, I have them right here. So here is the original that I scanned the window masks off of. Proline, in their divine wisdom, they used white vinyl. Now, if I hold it just right, yeah, right about there. That's what my scanner sees. Like, we have a good enough human eye that we can differentiate between the two. So I had to scan this, and then I had to take the contrast and crank the contrast up to plus 100%. And then I had to go through with a little tiny eraser, virtual digital eraser, and erase all of the background from around the masks so that I can cut double masks. I got really close to just cutting tape. And then I was like, we can't do it. We've got to do it right. I have got a rod end stuck. I hit it with the driver, and now it's stuck in the chassis. And I'm going to pry it, and I'm prying it out with a screwdriver. These are the risks, everyone, of using power drivers. Like most of the kits and instructions will say, don't use power tools. To which I say, don't tell me how to live my life. I mean, okay, so I'm sure it is popularly known, my feelings on Proline. And here's the deal. Proline, while residing under the 800-pound gorilla, under the Horizon umbrella, they're fine. They're fine. I haven't had to deal with Proline customer service in decades, and I'm glad of that because I don't imagine it's gotten any better. But I really didn't like the way Proline was going towards proudly made in the USA when we know they outsourced all of the plastics and everything. I don't know where the tires are made, so I'm not going to talk about that. But when they were doing like the ProTrack kits and stuff, none of that stuff was made in the United States. None of it. But we were still paying made in the USA prices. And then they had something that didn't even approximate customer service. It was just people yelling at you on the telephone. And it left a bad taste in my mouth that has lingered for decades, honestly. And I was just building affiliate links this morning, and a set of Baja Claws, RC four-wheel drive Baja Claws, are $25 a pair. Meanwhile, everything from Proline is $32.99 a pair. And like, yeah, you know, it's fun stuff and all, but $7 a pair, $14 a set, it's going to add up. And the next thing you know, you have spent a lot of money. I did 2 videos this morning before I started this because I have zero confidence in myself, my abilities, or the equipment, because so I've got this over here, and then over here I have the chat window. So my head is just bouncing back and forth between the two. And we're gonna figure it out. We're gonna figure it out. I'm also working on seeing, we always have a cricket going. I'm working on the big Crawler Canyon stickers as well because I need one for my car. So I'm going to put one on my car. I actually destroyed a rod end because I drove the screw end on the side of it and killed it. Yes, indeed, long live mixed racing. No one is going to unseat mixed racing, the fine purveyors of the fake tusk, because they also make, it's buried, I'm going to try to get it. Okay. Mixed Racing also makes the fake Boom Racing Hustler, and this is one of the worst tires we've ever tested, ever. And this, as far as junk view tires go, I still put it up at the top. I think there's a little bit more get up and go out of these, but I get it. When I say I get it, I mean I get it. This does not look right on some builds, so I get it. This just looks like tusks. So Mixed Racing has made the best and the worst tires together. Oh yes. Someone. Okay. If you have contacted me for stickers, I sent out, I don't know, 30 some things of stickers, but I get messages, I get emails, I get people in the comments, I get Instagrams, I get, what have you. I know there's people that got forgotten, and I still think that there are people that are probably going to get stickers twice. So if you have asked me about stickers in the past and I made no response to you whatsoever, if you don't receive stickers in, say, the next 2 weeks, let me know, and I will send out more stickers. I just had to cut another batch of, because, our stickers only come in kit format, because I didn't know that the yellow ink was going to be translucent. You live and you learn. Batch 2 of Canyon stickers, should that ever become a thing, are either going to just have white backgrounds, or we're going to figure something else. We're going to figure something out. I liked the place that I went through. For those who don't know the stickers, they look so good on the white background, but when you peel one off and stick it on something, it is basically rendered invisible because the yellow ink is very translucent. So I had to cut, as I just showed, I had to cut a bunch of white backers, and then you put this on, and then you put this on over it. It's annoying, but, as I say, what do you want for nothing? So if you want stickers, the email is the email. It's in the hidden YouTube contact form. You can find it, and I just send them out. I bought a giant box of envelopes. I bought an unthinkable quantity of stamps. So if you have sent in money for stickers, we thank you so much, because the way the stickers work is, some guy sent in like $15 and he said, I just want a couple stickers. And I was like, great, because I'm mailing those stickers out with stamps, because I can mail everywhere with stamps. But if I want to mail an envelope to Europe with just stamps on it, I got to put like 5 stamps on it. And stamps are 68 cents a piece. So if you live in California, or if you live in anywhere in the contiguous United States, it's no problem. I put a stamp on it. I send an envelope to Canada, I have to put 3 stamps on it. So it costs $2.06 to send 12 of those stickers to Canada. So we spread the love, and we spread the joy. That guy that spent his $15, he got 12 stickers just like everybody else. But he also facilitated stickers going out to a dozen other people. So see, we're all in this together. Yeah. I've gotten Jolly Ranchers in a couple. One, it's never but then I got another couple. Dum Dums was in one, and somewhere else I ordered from got Haichu. I don't know. Do you got to grow up on Haichu? What's the secret to Haichu? It is not my bag, baby. I tried the Haichu. Oh, did I mention that I have shocks? We've got those 10 Pro shocks. This thing is good. As I said, this weighs 118 grams, and this weighs almost 700. So we might indeed have the use for the 1 pound springs. Where is my? Hey, there's Zoku. Yeah, Zoku sends the Haichus. Yes, you're absolutely correct. I don't know. I have yet to meet. Well, maybe it's out there. Maybe I just haven't found it yet. I didn't like 5 slots until I met this one. Maybe I just haven't met the Haichu flavor that I like yet. It's lurking out there somewhere. We can hope. Why is this so far away? I could just move it closer. Yeah, Canyon Arrow is good. American Haichu are like wax. My wife and my children all share like a similarly leveled love of Starburst. Starburst is like putting a candle in your mouth. Only the candle tastes like what the candle smells like, which is not what actual candles taste like. They're like putting a candle in your mouth. But yeah, I can't. Haichu is. well, they also like red vines, and I can't do it. I can't do it. Like there's some sort of like part of wheat that's in licorice. Like I don't want to say that I'm one of those folks with a texture thing, but I definitely have a texture thing when it comes to candies. I basically just want Jolly Ranchers and chocolate, and not at the same time. Yes. Trial, I have yet to be disappointed by Trial, and Trial is fantastic in that they come in a real sweet spot where, like, even their wheels are not, like, overwhelmingly expensive, especially when we're taking things like Vanquish into account. So Trial hexes I love. Trial wheels are great. I just tend to be a little cheap. I use my wife also eats black licorice, which is wild. And I had read a thing where they said you have to basically have a genetic component in you to like black licorice. And I definitely don't have it. Oh, and someone had said nerds. Man, did I love nerds. And then all of a sudden, it just like, if you're familiar with the word piquant, where it makes the insides of your cheeks tuck in, it doesn't matter what flavor nerd it is. It makes my cheeks tuck in like that. And I don't know, like my kids love some sour. Like they're eating like the warheads and the toxic waste and the stuff like that. Well, they used to. I don't know about it anymore. But I just, I want candy to be pleasant. I'm a dark chocolate guy. Yes, I agree. I mean, black licorice is nuts and bread. Well, I can't have nuts at all. Physical nuts. Anyway, physical nuts. But I didn't like pie for my whole life. And then I guess I got a good pie. So it was like 5 slot motors. I didn't like pie. And then I got a good pie. And now I would eat a whole French silk pie if someone just left me alone, because I like chocolate. And that technically counts as a pie, and they've put the two together, so I would eat a whole one. But they tend to sprinkle like little chocolate chips on the top of the pie. The pie is like mousse, so it's soft, and the crust is like graham crackers, so it's soft. And then we're going to put some like rock hard chocolate chips on top of it, so you feel like something has fallen into your pie and you're eating that now. So I love a French silk pie, but like I don't think I'd turn down an apple pie, because apple pie's got a real... Do I have a texture thing? I think I don't know if I did before, but I definitely feel like I'm starting to develop a texture thing. Did somebody say soap flavored gum? I can't say I can help you with that one. Yes, someone has just pointed out, the gentleman himself who did it sent me, they have this thing called something along the lines of pulver patter, something like that, over in Norway, where they say, well, this is the same region of the world that gives us things like surströmming, right? They're like, oh, how do you feel about black licorice? Let's put salt on it. And I have a sealed packet of it in my desk, and I'm afraid. I'm not afraid of a lot of things, but I am desperately afraid of eating salted licorice. 1.9 stretched on a 2.2. What are the benefits of that? The benefit of that is you get some of the pluses of 2.2, which is shorter sidewall. So there's less of a chance of the sidewall rolling over, because when we're doing things like running a dual stage insert, and the inside of a two-stage is always going to be something very firm like this, that basically takes all the compliance out of the bottom of the tire. So now we're just using that top portion. So if you do a 2.2, you can a 1.9 stretched onto a 2.2 wheel. It doesn't sound like it's that much meat going away, but it definitely firms up the tire. Like these, if you'd seen the test on these, like look how little the wheel looks absolute wee babby. There's like 2 inches. So the reason that these worked as well as they did is if you see, if I push it over, that much of the tire is not really doing anything because it's that solid blue from the dual stage. So we're just using this out here. So we get the additional ground clearance, but we don't get that fold over that we get on other tires. And some tires, VXT2s pop into my head of tires that have been tested recently that really, really fold over. Yeah, Sir Strumming, I have to thank the internet for that, because I can watch videos of skaters falling down all day, and I can watch videos of unsuspecting people opening containers of that fermented fish and just absolutely losing it. I could watch it all day because I know I'd never have to do it. It's the same reason I watch things like Hot Ones, because I'm never going to put something so hot in my body that it takes away my ability to function as a human being. So definitely different strokes for different folks. Yeah, I have not done a cut and shut. If you're not watching the chat and I just shift gears, it's because I glanced out of the corner of my eye and read something. I have not had to do it. I was doing two-wheel drive buggy and four-wheel drive buggy racing. We're talking like in the 90s, and we would cut and shut. But the way we did cut and shuts then, particularly on 4x buggy, who are two guys that we can use? Like, there's a little bit of a seam in a deep woods, and then there's a very distinct seam on a canyon trail. What were cut and shuts to us? So when I found out that it was people buying two sets of 1.9s and adding in a little wedge to bring it up to a 2.2, I was like, well, that's crazy. Because what we would do is we would cut this tire in half and cut this tire in half and glue half of this tire to half of this tire. So you would have this tread on one side and this tread on the other. Because four-wheel drive buggy is wild. I mean, now, okay, four-wheel drive buggy of 25 years ago was wild. Now, four-wheel drive buggy, all the tires just look like this. I remember going to indoor clay tracks, and guys were running slicks. They were literally just running slicks. Or clay tires, they were running a tire purely based on compound. They would shave all the pins off and just run them smooth. And I was like, we are no longer off-road racing. This is just uneven sedan racing. This is just bumps. And I get it, because as a person who has tried to maintain a course in their yard, it's nightmarish. So I get it with the clay. We looked into trying to get clay for here when we had the backyard course, and I'm really thankful that I never did, because then we would have just bulldozed under who knows how much clay. Yeah, one of the gentlemen who comes by the canyon has a set. He did that. The megalithics that I used in the quick view of megalithics, he brought his rig over, handed me the megalithics still in the package. I tested them, put them back in the package, and then he took them home and he cut and shut them. And you know what? I haven't seen him since. He's got, and I don't mean the guy, I mean the tires. He's got some, the ones from Deluxe. The Deluxe that look kind of like Ruptures, but they're really skinny and really tall. Wagwan. HPI RS4 Rally. A buddy of mine back in the day, one of the grandest RC catastrophes I ever saw in person. A buddy of ours had an RS4 MT, which for those of you way back, they took the RS4, which was a sedan, and then they turned it into a monster truck by putting longer A-arms on it and big monster truck tires. And the whole thing was ludicrous, because if you looked at it like, whoa, part of it would break. And we were at a track called SoCal RC, which was down in Santa Ana, California, and they had a beautiful indoor track. And to give you an idea of when this happened, there were PVC pipes with numbers on them, because 2.4 gigahertz radios hadn't been invented yet. So you had to get your stick that matched your frequency, and then you'd be able to go out and run. There was a triple in the middle of the track, and he tried to clear that triple, and he landed right on the spine of the third jump in the triple, and it just broke that car in half. It just snapped it in half. It broke the chassis, it broke the top deck, it broke the drive, it broke everything in the middle of it, and it was just loosely held together by wires and stuff in two pieces. And I was like, that's why you don't make an off-road vehicle out of a sedan. Which is, again, if you've been around here long enough, you've heard me rant about the laser nut. And the laser nut is the new era RS4 MT. They took a perfectly serviceable short course truck and were like, let's make it bigger and wider, and it'll get caught on stuff and break everything. So I don't know what the thought processes are there. Yep, frequency tags. This place was like a foot stick of 3/4 inch PVC with those like reflective numbers that you'd put on a mailbox stuck on the side of them. And if you took the stick, nobody else could take that stick. So one of our buddies, we still have that radio here. One of our buddies had 27 megahertz FM, which only has like 6 or 8 channels. And that nobody drove that. So he would never have one. And then I went out and spent that. I went out and spent this money and bought a Novak switch. So you could just literally just turn the little wheels and get to what you wanted. Oh, I do not miss chips. Do I ever go out to the dirt in Hemet? No, I have been out to Thunder Alley years ago, like when we were in the Slash stuff. So 2008 to 2012 or so. We were doing mostly indoor because we would have to drive out to, before the track got built in the backyard and then torn down out of the backyard where the crawler course is now. We would have to drive to LARC or OCRC and, drive 90 minutes to go play with toy cars for a couple hours. And then you get that, there's a real vibe in the room, right? When you show up where like, where have you been and what have you done? Ooh, those little bars. 0 kbps. Oh. Is not poor. Like what? Like what happened? Oh, that is a delay. Woof. There it goes. Whoa. When that thing runs out of data, wow. I did this move right here, and it showed up like 15 seconds later. Oh. All right. I think it's back to green. Yeah. Wi-Fi drops out when talking about radio frequencies. Yeah, it heard me. Have I ever tried the adapters for AR44 that changes them in the portals? I have looked at those adapters, but I would call the quality on most of them spurious. Particularly now when Axial is offering AR44 Pro, the 10 Pro portal axles for like $160 for the pair. I want to try a set of those because I don't really like the AR45 portal, but I like the AR45 straight. What we're building is, we're calling it the Dragon chassis from AliExpress. It was really cheap and it arrived really quickly. And we are mating it to the leftover bits and bobs from a number of vehicles. This will be like kind of like Zoidberg's stepson. There's a lot of leftover Zoidberg going into this, but my distraction level, I think it's fine. Which 10.3 kit? The JLU kit? Oh yeah, there's just okay. There is just definitely there's just a delay. I want to see. Okay. Now, how long does that take to show up? Because I have live view on one side and then internet view on the other. 7, 8. Is it 10 seconds? I think it's 10 seconds. The JLU? That's not bad. I mean, if just for the body, I really like that JLU body. I got into an argument with a guy where he was claiming that the JLU is not accurate. And my defense from that was that, like, virtually none of the bodies are accurate. I mean, we called the metallic green and white, and I was like, it's the Flanco, because that's exactly what it looks like. So yeah, none of the bodies are accurate. Nice. Yeah, the same crystal thing, the same crystal thing at the track was nearly as good as watching vehicles self-destruct, because there would be signs posted everywhere. It's like we're going way back in time. People would say there would be signs up everywhere. Don't turn your radio on in the pits. Whatever you do, don't turn your radio on in the pits. And somebody would do it. And some guy would be out on the track, and his vehicle would just go like full tilt into a wall because they didn't like it. They did not like it. 2.4 gigahertz I embraced as quickly as humanly possible when it became available. I got it. So the delay, I didn't know that there was this much of a delay between what I see and what you see. So now I have the double whammy of chat over here. Yeah, 249 is pretty good. But yeah. So I don't know how far I am off of, like, I don't know when what you're seeing actually happened. Last two actually. Yeah, I am 100% pleased with the Mias axles. And someone else was inquiring about them, and what I'll tell you what I told them, which is I have seen that axle or something similar to that axle in many, many flavors from many, many places, and I think they're all just a little bit different. So I can really only vouch for the Mias. Erwin sent me a link to ones on AliExpress that were like $90 instead of 160. But they're like this close, but not quite. And I think if we've learned anything from tire tests, you can have two tires, and if they're close, they're close. But if they're not the same thing, they are not the same thing. So, the military time. Yeah, I haven't found a thing from Mias that I haven't liked. I love their nylon axles, and I have read all of the reviews on Amazon where people are like, "Oh, I snapped an output shaft," and I'm not a victim blamer, so I don't think people did it. I think what happened is there was probably a batch of the universals that either didn't get hardened and tempered correctly or something, because we're on like the fourth set, and they're absolutely fine. Why do I mount the shocks upside down? Because anything above the spring, basically, is sprung weight, and anything below the spring is unsprung weight. So if you run your shock upside down, it turns the body of the shock, which in some cases is more than others, it turns the shock into unsprung weight. So now the shock isn't having to bear the weight of itself. But more importantly, when a shock is upside down, they just leak a lot slower, because you're only going to get that little bit of pull of oil going this way. Now, dirt and debris and detritus will get all around that little seam, and your shock oil will get dirtier faster running it this way versus running it this way. But I'll take that trade. I'll take the trade of, and particularly back from the days of Go Fast stuff, if there was an opportunity to run a shock upside down, we would, because the shocks will be right here, and the front tires are going to shoot a jet of debris, which is going to take all of the nitriding right off of the shock shafts. So we were fabricating guards on the fronts of the A-arms to protect the shocks. Favorite 1.9 for rocks in the IE? Tusks. I have to say Tusks. They have proven themselves to be capable in virtually every circumstance, and it doesn't matter whether it's hot, cold, wet, dry. They're good all the way across the board. The Hold is a tire that is so build specific. Like, they work great on the Ghost Rover, which was a purpose-built, long travel. Those tires had sat on the bench for a while, and then somebody just asked, like it's all content type of thing where they're like, "Have you considered trying this and this?" And I said, "I haven't." So I put Holds on Ghost Rover, and they really worked. And he's not giving them up. They belong to him now. I did not. What I did not do was source the hardware that I needed to put the shocks and stuff on. Hey, good, close enough to 25s. Yeah. Hey, thank you, Leadfoot. Let's celebrate their first super on a live stream. I don't know what that means. Oh, their first super on a live stream. Oh, well, thank you, sir. Google thanks you as well. They're gonna take their chunk. Google. They make it all. They make it possible. I mean, what are your other options? And I've seen so many. When it comes to, everybody loves to talk about things like the minutia of monetization on YouTube. Where I was under the same impression as I think that a lot of people are, which is ads, right? Google ads on YouTube. I was under the impression that you only get an ad on a video that's getting paid. And then once I started doing videos that get paid, I was brought up to the fact that no, all videos are monetized. Just if you don't monetize it, Google takes all the money. So there's ads on everything. And now, I don't know. I've been on premium since I started doing this. I'm like, how can I technically? I got a W-2 from them, so that means I work for Google a little, right? I work for YouTube. I'm what they call a non-paid something, right? Like you don't work there, but you work for them. You don't work for them, but you work for them. So, yeah. So thank you for the donation, by the way. It all, you know where it ends up. You're looking at it. This isn't, I'm not retiring off of YouTube. Hey. I don't know. There's something, and I think it might be the Gen Z sort of feel about it. But when people are called creator is like this much better of a term than influencer. Ugh. I find them distasteful in almost equal measure. And I mean, I guess like, yeah, UB contractor. Yeah, that sounds about right. Is there another way of sending our appreciation without YouTube finding out? Yeah, I mean, yeah, you can do it without YouTube finding out. It's just, I think we have our first, we're going to have to move something. I don't think that's going to, okay. So I chose 4 links at random to use for the lowers. How short is this boy? Are we gonna need longer links? Are we gonna have to reconsider? 300 dead. So, I mean, I guess I'd be a little happier if it was a little longer, just a hair longer. But yeah, this little guy, which I was going to stick, there's an existing hole. I was going to put that right there. But we would have to push, and I wouldn't want to push that front axle out more than that. Maybe the rear axle out more. Oh, no one's asked. The times are what they are. No one asked, but we're going to be trying 2 new bodies soon. I have one cut. I had to buy it because I couldn't tell if I hated it or not. So this is the Stage Killer from J Concepts, and it was very inexpensive. And it is very nearly a perfect fit for this thing dimensionally. Like, it's really close. And the reason I can't get it to sit in place is because its little scully snoot at the front is, look how narrow that is. It's so narrow that to get this thing to sit, I think what is going to have to happen, the brand on the chassis, I don't know. If Andre from Romania is still here, he might be able to tell you. I couldn't even find a link to it. I found the screen cap that he sent to me, but I don't know. I know that it was inexpensive. Yeah. Influencer. Yeah. My wife told me one time, she goes, "You realize you're an influencer, don't you?" And I said, "How dare you say that to me?" And she said, "Do you recommend that people buy things?" And I go, "Sometimes." And she goes, "And then do they buy those things?" And I said, "Sometimes." And she goes, "That's what an influencer is." And I was like, well, fine. If you want to be accurate and use things that are accurate, I guess. It doesn't make me happy about it. Who knows what it's going to be after influencers? Oh, no. Yeah. It does. And it doesn't just look like a dinosaur snout. It looks like that one where the dinosaur's got its bottom teeth tucked in and they're turning all the words into F's. It looks kind of like that. So I think I'm probably going to cut this back. I can cut it back a ways and not hit the servo, but I'm unwilling to cut it yet because maybe we'll put longer links on it or just go to longer rod ends. Maybe try that. Because the fit is pretty darn close. And honestly, the wheel wells are lining up. Oh, he has sent me a link. Ron 201.37. Yeah, carbon fiber. Yeah. They weren't kidding about the fast delivery. Here we go. We're getting meta again. $35. And it is weightless, but look at those air quotes, sliders. I don't know if I'm going to be able to bring myself to bolt those things on. Full description. Carbon fiber LCG chassis kit, cheater rigs frame with Delrin skid for 1/10 RC car crawler SCX 10.2 Element Enduro comp builds. It's just that pile of randomly selected words that most sellers tend to use on AliExpress, on Asia Tees, on Amazon. If they're importing goods, they're just naming it by throwing a bunch of words together. I also, until now, standing here, arms crossed, staring at this thing, I'm like, how am I going to mount this? Oh yeah, another point. Let me throw some screws real quick, like into the shocks. We'll use something overly long. Now there's a little widget right there on my screen, right at the bottom of my screen, that shows my kilobits, that shows how fast this stuff is uploading, and I just stare at it. I can't look at the YouTube Live control panel anymore because it is so slow to update. And you know what? I think we need longer rear links is what this is going to come down to. But if I get some shocks sort of in place, actually, I don't know. It might be close enough to run with it. I think we've had this experience in the past, for those who remember, when we built Lolo. Is it an AMK chassis? AMK makes great stuff. I like a lot of the AMK stuff. Their ring and pinion gears, particularly, through virtue of just being so cheap. How's the first live stream going? Except for it completely dropping out when I had the foolishness to talk about things that are radio related. Other than that, it seems to be doing great. Are there parts that we should always add to our orders when buying parts to build up spares? Like what? Like if you were asking more specifically, like what do I always try to have on hand? Parts to build drive shafts, parts to rebuild shocks. These guys, hollow balls, rod ends. Stuff like that, because most people don't recognize it as such, but if you have a bunch of rigs all going at the same time, things like hollow balls are absolutely, and rod ends in equal measure, are both like consumables, because you break them, you strip them out, you will go through them without realizing that you're going through them. Yeah, this rear end needs to be pushed back probably like an inch. Yeah, those cut-to-fit drive shafts, those are AMKs as well. Those cut-to-fit drive shafts are great. And they're helping facilitate things like this, because when I put a cut-to-fit on something, I get to take the drive shafts off of it, and then I have more drive shafts. Let me get 2 more screws in here so that I can kind of maneuver this thing around a little better. We'll just go up high right here. Yeah. What are we doing? So, for anyone who's interested in ordering one of these or has recently ordered one of these, you're going to need long links. If I recall correctly, the rears, when I built them up, are 128 millimeter eye to eye, and they are not remotely long enough. Because when I'm building one of these things up, the goal is to try to get the rods parallel to the ground, or at least to get the chassis bottom and links parallel to each other. And this thing is on the moon, unless, I guess I could put like 80s on it. I don't know if in this configuration, I don't know if I'd be able to get it low enough. But we're mocking up. So we're not cutting anything. I'm not cutting any carbon until we know. Like that rear end wants to sit. I say those things where it looks like a spider had a child with a wasp. This is definitely that. So someone who just asked, what chassis? I guess it's an AMK. It is probably sold under many, many names on AliExpress. Oh, and things like lock nuts. Buy your lock nuts like 100 at a time in 3 millimeter, in the flanged for holding the 4 millimeter flange for holding wheels on, because what you're seeing me do right here is we're gonna put a lock nut on the inside of this, and then I'm gonna hope to be able to find the bits and pieces to assemble some upper links so we can have this thing kind of hold itself together so that I can slap a gearbox in it. It's impossible to tell if it's going to sit right. Actually, you know what? It might sit right at 300. It might. And if that's all the way up, we might not hit the little carbon plate either. This thing's going to be set up for a lot of down travel. Oh, I gotta lean my arm down here for a second. It's up so high because these shocks are currently holding about 120 grams of weight. So there's literally nothing to make it settle back down. So 1 pound springs might be too stiff for this. I mean, we'll see. They do have to bear the weight of this. And we didn't go with, this ain't no compy baby right here. This is chunk. We're going to put all that chunk right in the middle. So what I have to, let me take you on board for a very high-tech. Jolly Green needs dig. It would be nice. That'd be nice. Yeah, a tank absolutely counts as a crawler. Just not a rock crawler. Like treads have never traditionally done well on rocks because they're good for things like soft ground, like sand. Pull the trigger on this year's must-have. What is the chunk? So we've got an Amazon dig box. We've got a DS Power, the HV dig servo for it, which is what I'm trying to replace my 4409s with in events that I'm not using, like Flash Hobby 1227s or the new Injora 2065s, which are kind of my favorite micro because they're strong enough, but they're also really, really cheap. And then we've got a big full-on 540. This is heavy. This is probably close to a pound. So this is an opportunity. I have, like I say, I had to buy I had a fake Tulo and then I bought another one. So I have a fake Tulo and I was this close to putting a fake Tulo in here. And then remembered that when the front axles have the wild overdrive gears in them. So they've got 35 or 36% overdrive in the front. Ooh, what is everyone's favorite Canyon rig? Yeah, I did. I tried Traxxas tracks. I still have them. They're right under here. Yes, the F10T clones. Yes, I have. I am curious, but I am cautiously curious because $200 for a pair of axles is still expensive. Yes, the fake Tulo is the Tulo. I have a real one. I've got a brazen Tulo right down here in a drawer. And if you open them up and look on the insides, they were made in the same building. I mean, they are the same, except that the fakes are using one-piece shaft and gears instead of put together bits. So some cost cutting benefits. I had thought about the Tulo in reverse, and the reason that I haven't mounted a Tulo in reverse, see how much of the 15-second buffer I can use, is the Tulo is annoying. So here's the front output, and here's the rear output. And the rear output will always put the drive shaft, like, it couldn't be mounted over there. It'd have to be mounted way over here like that for the motor to clear. So the output for the rear drive shaft is basically almost touching the chassis every time, unless you have a chassis that is like specifically made for it. So if you flip it around and run it the other way, the front, what is now the front drive shaft, is going to go right into the links, like every time. So that's why the one on, why am I showing that one when he's right here? So in order to get him to work, you can see that the gearbox is both tilted, it's tilted this way, and it's clocked so that we can, because the motor is like millimeters away from the frame rail. So I had to build this compound thing, and then there are parts that are within, I had to turn the head of a bolt down to clear it, and it's still under load, it's still touching. Oh, I can't tell if we've dropped out or not. Oh, yeah, it's going slow. Okay, I'm back. The updates, the YouTube updates are as delayed as as everything else. So I can't tell what people are seeing. I'm still on poor. All right. This is the hardest part for me. This is the parts that I'm completely out of control of, because it will just start. I think, okay, I didn't mention in this, but I think I've mentioned in others that what we're on right now, we're on Wi-Fi via the cheapest router you can buy, which is hooked up to one of those Ethernet over power adapters. And I ran an orange extension cable, buried it in the ground. It's plugged in behind the refrigerator, and it runs underground, and it comes out into the shed, and there's a plug right under the bench, so it bypasses the circuit breakers. That's how we get internet in here. And it is certainly not the best method. And places like Verizon keep being like, are you sure you don't want to try this new 5G internet? And I'm like, I mean, I kind of do. Can I build a little dome? I'm in a Faraday cage. This is a metal building, so Wi-Fi doesn't get in or out. I'm like, can I build a little dome on the roof and put it up there so that we can actually get good Wi-Fi in here? Because I have just enough signal to maintain this stream, apparently. Could I use the too low in the chassis with the Mias? Yes. The too low is pretty, well, I mean, effectively what you would be building is this, because this is a too low, and then the Mias uses the same outer gear. All of the gears in the Mias are the same as in a Capra. So he's still running fairly low kV. He's running a 900. You would probably want to not go above around 1400 on that setup. And you could fit a too low in this chassis, but you would probably want to build a little shim or spacer to kind of, so it would sit in like this with the motor facing forward. You know what? Actually, it might require a space up to keep the motor off of this link under compression, but I think you might be all right. You might just need a little shim under it. And when you get the fake one, it comes with its own skid, so you would just replace this skid with that skid. Yeah, this chassis would actually be a pretty good fit. You might still get a little, like, these slots are the mounting points for the upper links, which is, I don't know if it's idiotic or genius. I haven't determined yet which, but because then you can just adjust your position, but then getting the sides even is going to be super fun. We're gonna find out together on this thing, provided I get it put together. 1200 SE should be great. That's this guy. So what you're talking about is a Tulo with a 1200 SE on Mias axles. So yeah. And then it just clears on this chassis, and I built this is just 10 millimeter Delrin, just spacing it straight up, which makes this drive shaft angle a little less than optimal, but it works. It works just fine. I think that the fitment in this chassis would probably be better than the fitment in this Tulo. Ooh. Yeah, I've had people that live in mountain areas and far off places, and the hoops that they have to jump through to get internet is wild. I didn't see a comment about a drift car build. It's still over there. And I'm talking about, I'm in talks with somebody to get concrete, to get real, actual concrete done. A buddy of mine knows a finishing guy, so we're in talks to get actual concrete to where we would actually have something to drive it on. And I think once some of the locals get a load of that thing, I've driven it around the driveway a little bit, and it's super fun. I need an area where I can actually, I need a controlled environment to drive it, kind of like what I built for rock crawlers out back. And then you'll be seeing some of that content if that's the kind of thing that you're into. So we're going to very approximate, because I feel like all of these links are going to need to be replaced. And I just do we're looking at about 108. The plans for my Marlin is I drive it every once in a while because I'm scared of it. It is, things here are sort of built to a minimum accepted level of durability, and every time I drive that thing, I'm afraid I'm going to kill it. Oh, I'm on Top Chat? Wait, hold on. Oh, okay. Top Chat and Live Chat look exactly the same for me. I didn't know that there were two different ones. Oh, it's going yellow again. No, I think we're good. So when I lay out a link, I make a rough measurement, and then I lay these down next to a ruler. It's going to give me some close approximation. The most enjoyable kit for a first-timer to build. That is an excellent question, because kits are becoming so rare. I mean, I would have said TRX4 Sport Kit when it was still a thing. I mean, if you can still get one, but yeah, Basecamp Builder's Kit is pretty good. The LCXU gearbox is not the simplest gearbox out there to build, but it's not too bad. And that is a little bit too long, because we went to the longest hole. We need something a little bit shorter. This is the fun of link building. I basically need two of these element links. Yeah, I need two of these. Somebody conjure me one up. Oh, okay. On the G-Made Spider, I can't speak 100% directly to the G-Made Spider because I have not built one or driven one, but Buffalo, it's a GS02F with portals, and Buffalo Bill is a straight axle GS02F, and that's a trail truck. So if you're building it for someone whose intention is hardcore rock crawling, I don't know what the actual total, I don't know how capable the Spider is going to be. I do want to get one. Because in two parts. I love the body, and it's a kit. They're still selling kits. So I have a weakness for that. This is how we do. Yeah, ready to replace. They found out, love them or hate them. Traxxas is, the sword is very double-edged, because I remember a time when it looked like RC as a thing was done. And Traxxas really re-enervated the whole deal with RTRs, because it was bringing people in, it was catching the eye of the new guy, but it didn't take long, and the rest of the industry caught on. And we came from a time, us old folk, we came from a time when you didn't have a choice. Like you built a kit or you didn't get an RC car. And Team Associated only sold kits, and Losi only sold kits. And Tamiya certainly only sold kits. And now we got nothing. Do a search for rock crawler kits on AMain. And there's like 7 kits. Oh, it would be a trail truck. Oh yeah. Yeah. Well, I wouldn't. I don't want to super generalize. I want to go by like, what is their? Have they never built one before? Okay. If you have seen videos of the Spider on rocks, I would like to see those, because I've never seen one. I've never seen them driving one on rocks. They're just out mushing around in it. But yeah, I would love to see how they approach portals, because Gmade is a little crazy. They do things a little different. Like some of the choices they made on their version of the AR44, the GA44, it's just a weird axle. I still want a bomb. The BOM, that thing looks amazing, and I've had it in my cart more than once. And then when I finally feel like I'm ready to buy one, they're out of stock again, and then they go out of stock on AMain for like 6 months. I had the Sawback in my notify me when it's available for 2 years, and then when it finally became available, I had the Marlin, and I was like, leaf springs are weird. So, and there's why you use it, like dead down in the middle means these two are the same length. Does it mean that they're the exact correct length that I need for that? Well, God, no. But they're the same length. And that's borderline critical. Because if you get them off to one side or the other, it's going to push the whole axle over. It would be for my wife. She's never built a kit before. Like her built with minimum help. Ooh. That makes me wish even more that the TRX4 Sport was... Like, I think a child could build a TRX4 Sport, and when they are done building it, they've built a tank. Like, it's basically unkillable. I definitely wouldn't lean towards Gmade as a first kit. Their instructions are good but not great. They do what I tend to call assumptive steps. Like, you're on step 1, and then in step 3, there's just stuff installed now. And you're like, I don't remember anyone telling me to put that on. And it's just there now. So, the base camp would be good. Element Builder's Kit would be good. I recommend the Builder's Kit a little less, because I'm hoping that Builder's Kit 3 is out. Oh, Phoenix kits are back? Now, the Phoenix kit is phenomenal, but you will be in the room helping build a VFD twin, because that thing is like trying to build a clock. And if you've never had to build a gearbox before, that thing will melt your mind. Yeah. Of the current stuff out there, as someone who'd said that in the comment there, they've never tried anything axial. Honestly, I think the Basecamp kit is the only thing I would recommend. Yeah. Caden Rice, 100% agreed. There are a few moments when you are putting together a VFD twin where you can get one piece in the wrong place. One shaft looks almost identical to another one, and if you get them reversed, you get to take the whole back end of the gearbox apart again and basically start over. And the fasteners are super critical, like which one goes where, and other ones are much more forgiving. I already miss the TRX4 Sport Kit. The Phoenix is phenomenal, but I would put, if they put the, like, how did they used to do it? They'd have like a little picture of a wrench or something, and it's one wrench to build this, and then it goes up to like 5 wrenches. A Phoenix is probably like a 4 wrencher. I don't want to say outright that you need to have built something before, but I feel like you need to have built something before. The element is pretty simple, but there's a diff shimming issue there, and I would try not to recommend to people my train of thought just went starting with something of that level of sophistication. The 10 Pro kit from Axial. If you're going to buy a 10 Pro kit, buy a VRD. that's pretty much that. If you're considering at all a 10 Pro kit, buy a VRD, because you get a lot more. And and then that's just aimed at people in general. If you're a first time builder that's never built something before, I'm not recommending a VRD. Yeah. If you can still find a sport kit somewhere out there in the wild, I would say sport kit. And if not, go with the Basecamp Builder's Kit. It goes together pretty nicely. Yeah, $700 later for Vanquish Kit. Yeah, by the time you get it moving, you get a lot for what you're paying. But yeah, nonetheless, it's $429 for the kit. And then you need all the other stuff to make it go. So realistically, a VRD is probably closer to $1,000 by the time you get it on the rocks. The same for a Pro, same for a 10 Pro. You're probably looking at right about $1,000. And then the gentleman who's doing it for his wife would be in a really sticky situation of, now you can't tell your wife how much her thing cost. Because if she found out that it was $1,000 to get everything put together, she would give you the look. We've all of us in the boat together, we have gotten the look. Yeah, and when I bought my Basecamp kit, it was a coupon. Yeah, a Basecamp with, okay, now see, here's the beauty of things coexisting together peacefully. That is a fantastic pinion angle chosen at random with some element upper links. Either we might need 80 millimeter shocks in the back. These are 95s. I'll know once we get some uppers in the front. Someone just said in the comments, Axial Basecamp kit with the Zoku chassis or get a VRD. Yeah, that's I agree. But I would give, carbon aside, I would give an edge to the Zoku, because that you got dig. Dig's like cheating. Dig is sanctioned cheating. Yeah, I've got some 80s. These 95s are definitely too long for the back. I've got 80s and 90s. I got 85s. We got something. The 95s might be too long for the front. We might end up doing 90, 80. I got some 90s. I've been getting the look since I started this hobby. Yeah. And honestly, that doesn't have anything specifically to do with toy cars. It could be any hobby. Any hobby will garner the look. I got pretty close on that last one. So the front link is going to be about 95-ish. Someone, I don't want people to think that I didn't see it. Someone asked about what rod ends do I keep on hand. This build is kind of the acid test. These are the Mias is selling the giant bag, which has a bunch of the angled ones. It has ones that look like Vanquish ends, which I've already dumped into this other container. So it has this type, and then it has this type, which are much more like the axial, but not too thin at the end. So I think serviceable. And it was like $38 for 100 ends. And they come with balls. And perhaps most importantly, the balls are 5.7 millimeters. So they're the same external measurement as Traxxas, Element, Axial, all those. The drawback is that the ball in here is 7 millimeters long. And when we're working on our good buddy Axial Axles, they are 7.5. So you have to replace bolts to the correct size bolts. But it will fill your bin up with 7s. And then when I'm just bolting to the chassis, I just use 7s. 7s are fine. You use 7s wherever you can. Like these are from a Traxxas, and I could just slap those on, and then I don't think I need spacers. No, we are just not touching the rails. Boy, this chassis was either meant to be really long or not have 95 millimeter shocks. Because I think if I push the front axle out 17 millimeters, 17, 18 millimeters, and the same for the rear, and tick this thing out to about 335, I think we might be able to get away with 95s. The temptation is to build it with what I got and just build a 300 millimeter shorty. Yeah, this is a 12-inch. This is a 12-inch wheelbase. It's actually a little under 12. 12 is 305. So this is a little bit under 12-inch wheelbase, which with dig means this thing is going to turn horde. This thing is going to turn real sharp. So we need 2 lengths that are about 95-ish. Which means we need little boys. A couple of links about 60. 80s, I think 80s are going to be fine. I have a set of 80s up here in a bag. I have my own separate little drawer of links that are sub. Oh, so close. Pre-assembled in 85. Because I think that's it right there. Yeah, that's it right there. Now I got to find 2. Yeah, 300 milli with dig. I'm kind of looking forward to it. It's going to turn real sharp. Now I'm doing that thing that I promised I wasn't going to do, which is where I dig around out of frame to try to find the right length. I got really lucky on those rear uppers and just found 2 links of the same length too short. This is a lot of what fabrication looks like, which you just dig through bins trying to find 2 of the same thing. And let me guess, this one's going to be some kind of oddball that there's only one of them. Because I'm finding a lot of these like 70 millimeter from Element. Those little bent ones are too short. That's too short. These Traxxas ones are too short. Dang. That one is a one of a kind because it's from a 3-link. I don't see another one. Which means the perfect link, that guy right there, he is an upper from a 3-link truck. Yeah, it's way too long. Dang it. We'll find it. Same steering link. Alternately, Nah, we gotta find it. Building a system for organizing parts can be as expensive as the trucks. You are not kidding. I have been, someone just mentioned TRX6. What I've been thinking about for the TRX6 is an overdrive in the front and an underdrive in the back one, and then just a normal one in the middle. I think that would actually really help his turning circle without harming a lot of other things. The gold. For now. I have an outrunner set up here as well, but I wanted to try it here on the basic brush, on the most basic, and we'll see how it goes. If it feels like it's too heavy, we will try something else. I can't find another upper. Everything is either 4 or 5 millimeters too long or 4 or 5 millimeters too short. This might work if there's a second one, and I don't think there is. No, there is not. Man. And 95 overall. Yeah, I don't see a single link in there that's going to help me out here. It feels titanium. This feels titanium. It gets that feel. Any magnetism? Yeah, this is titanium. This is an upper for the Phoenix slider. This is front upper from a Phoenix slider that I got during the Trucks of Fortune one. Oh, hold on. Hold the phone. I might have found the other reduced one. This might be Club 5 or something. They won't be perfect, but we're not striving for perfection. We're striving for make it move. Kingpin Panhard? Yeah, we done Kingpin Panhard. Just mount it to the top. I did honestly, so I neglected to show it, and I should have shown it. This chassis came with a pretty clever CMS piece, which I now can't find. So there are 2 notches in the front of the chassis, and it's aha! So this guy goes into 2 notches in the chassis and makes it CMS. And I honestly thought about fabricating my own aluminum piece, a la the the bugger conversion, and going to chassis mounted for the axial axles, for the capper axles. And then the lazy part of me took over and was like, nah, let's just do servo and axle, because servo and axle is cheating. If we're given the opportunity to cheat, we'll do it. So what will most likely happen? When you see this thing in a semi-final configuration, when it looks like it's turning into something, what we will do is I'll go on Amazon, I'll order one of those link kits. I need to find a high clearance link kit, one of those cheap, like sub $20 high clearance link kits, but for something with a longer wheelbase. And then that will hopefully stretch this out. Now, I say that now, we haven't even driven this, so this thing might be amazing. I always assume the worst. So we always assume the worst. Why would we assume that something's going to work? A result is a result. It doesn't matter how bad it is, just as long as something at the end of it turns out. And we're just mismatching links. I also have a bunch of rod over there. I could just make links. Again, we don't make links until we know that what we have is functional. Yeah, yes, they do. Yes. But if I can just make a panhard for a capper axle, I would just do it. But then a part of me chimes in from the background and goes, why would you put chassis mounted steering on a capper axle? The only people putting chassis mounted steering on capper axles are people who want to use it in some sort of competition that would otherwise ban some other function that you have. And we don't have anything here that's going to ban anything that you have. You can drive whatever you want And reversing basically is unpenalized. Boy, I hit it twice. I hit it twice. That is basically on. Now, are they the same? Are they the correct length? Look, that's not the claim that I made. The claim that I made is that we made them the same length, and that's an achievement on some level. Yeah, someone had mentioned just up above, it's scrolling by, about spending X amount of dollars on a drift body, and it's just a piece of Lexan. I was ready. I had done my little bit of research, and I had picked out the kit that I wanted, because I do love building a kit. And then I foolishly, and I guess smartly, foolishly went and looked up how much drift bodies cost, and I gasped. Because for the body that is on the one that I bought, you're talking over $100 for the body. And I was like, what? So I bought an RTR, which came with the body. Try to eyeball my pinion angle here. Okay. Yeah, we got it. We got it perfectly. We got it perfectly right in between the ribs. I think when I measured it with the ruler, I think I got right in between the ribs. So for the purposes of sanity retention, I'm just going to go to a longer rod end on the back of this and push it out to the longer point. Because otherwise, we got to start over. I don't want to start over. So I need to add like literally 3 millimeters. Is it any different from a regular 10 scale car body? Not really, no. But they are fancy. They are super fancy. I'm about to frame again. We'll just get 2 that are sort of close. And now I will be able to measure one against the other, and hopefully it's close. Woo! Yeah, we were down at the local hobby town picking up something cheap. And a guy came in, and he had pre-ordered on the internet and bought an X-Max and like the Traxxas branded batteries and everything to go for it. And when they rung them up after tax, it was like $1,700. And I quietly, under my own breath, I gasped. I went, oh, that is terrifying. And we spend, slowly over time, we probably spend that much money on stuff, but I can't do it at once. Ugh. I got this together too well. Tamiya has consistently made great bodies, like forever. But I've even in Tamiya, I have gotten to watch the prices just continually rising. Everything is more expensive now. That's just the way it is. I don't know about that guy, but I've seen that dude that makes those crazy, almost like steampunky RC builds that have like drivers that like pull the gear shifters and stuff. They look amazing. I don't have the patience or the wherewithal, but there are people out there doing amazing things. I try to embrace scale as much as I can, but I don't know. There has to be this fine line between performance and appearance. You've all heard me say sacrifice for vanity too many times, but there's only so far. Yeah, Danny H. Yeah. Those things are amazing. And that's the kind of stuff I love to watch, because I'm not saying I can't do it, but I'm saying I can't do it. That guy's like a borderline roboticist with what he's doing. Yeah. Danny Hun Creations. Those every one I've seen him do are just absolutely amazing. All right, we're gonna have 8 links. We are going to. Did I get it right? Okay, I'm warm. I am definitely warming up to the slots for the upper link mounts instead of holes. I get it. I think many of us have been doing it wrong, because I didn't, well, particularly for doing setup, particularly when building it blind out of parts. This thing is crazy, because I didn't get that link quite. Well, I can exhibit right here. So look at me adjust my pinion angle without changing my link. That's, I mean, particularly for setup, that's pretty great. And then you can measure the link, know exactly what your link length is, and then you can fabricate the correct link to get the exact placement that you want. So the slot in the chassis, I thought, was just purely a cost-saving measure. Actually, I think right about there is about where I want it. Yeah, that looks pretty good. What driver do I use? This is the Bosch. Lithium-ion uses these 12-volt. This is the PS31, and I use its partner, the PS41. You can find them on Amazon, Lowe's. I got both. I got these off Amazon, and they always come as a duo together like this. And I've been stuck in the Bosch ecosystem with their batteries, which are just 3 18650s in a little magazine. I've had so many of these batteries from using Bosch tools for years that I just, when one wears out or dies, I just buy another one. They're a little bit overpowered for this type of stuff, but they are slow enough, and it's got a clutch, and I use this guy to mount and unmount tires. And if you just, you put it in your like save for later on Amazon, and they go on sale for $100 for the pair, multiple times a year. When they're not on sale, I think it's about $150 for the pair, and it's done in that basically what to me equates to like an RTR fashion, where if you want to buy just one, it'll be $100. And if you want to buy two, it's $150, and then it'll go on sale, and they're both $100. So my advice to everyone is just wait until they're on sale. And I prefer these because over, like, say, just some sort of a driver that fits 1/4 inch, because I use this thing to drill holes. I use it to tap holes. You've seen me use it for everything. And also, that battery form factor will trick you into buying other things. Dremel makes a cordless, rechargeable rotary tool, and my buddy has one, and he brought it over, and he goes, "Oh, my battery's dead. Can you plug in my battery charger for me?" And uses this exact battery. The tips, yes, these are MIPs. These are MIPs. Forgive your ignorance, but who is Ted Lasso? Ted Lasso was a series on Apple TV, which is magnificent. If you are a fan, like, it is so. And here's the crazy part about it: the character, the one who's just out of frame over off here to the side, this is Ted Lasso. He is the titular character of that series. He began as like an ad campaign on NBC for like World Cup soccer, and then they somehow made a show out of it, and it's fantastic. It is one of those bingeable shows where you will load it up and sit down and watch like 10 episodes of it. I've found on FX and now on Hulu, The Bear. Same thing. I watched all of season 1 in 2 days, and I watched all of season 2 in 2 days. and then I have to wait until they make more. I didn't quite get that pinion angle perfect, but you know what? I don't know. Maybe we might be close in the front. The front might be close. And we're not going to have any interference with that plate. Yeah, even knowing how heavy that front axle is, yeesh. The show is just called Ted Lasso. And if you're at all like me and you've been around here and you watch this, this will be one of your favorite guys in the whole world, followed probably by Coach Beard. But Roy Kent, he's here, he's there, he's everywhere. Roy Kent is a national treasure. What a great show. Oh man, Beard's Trip. So good. So good. All right, let's get screws that are long enough to not jab through the top of the gearbox. I will, you know what? Now that I've read that comment, I think I'm going to have to check out the Traxxas driver bits. I continue to use MIP because they have been flawless. And I also have the ball end ones, which with the little stripes, which are just luxury, just absolute luxury. Especially when you're working on something like a 10-3, which in the divine wisdom of the axial engineers, the bolts that hold these links on are from the inside of the chassis. So if you need to take your front upper off, you either need one of those links or start taking it apart. I don't want to take it apart. I want to be lazy. Oh yeah. This gearbox weighs about as much as, but yet still the shocks did not. Yeah, 1 pounders might be too much. If this thing comes out short, forgive my ignorance, but who is the Asian lady in the background? That is 4'7" Japanese lifestyle and organization expert Marie Kondo. She is the muse of the canyon. She's the unofficial spirit of Crawler Canyon because in her years of being a lifestyle expert, she had a thing about sparking joy, about does it spark joy? Because she was on this grand movement to get people to basically give things away, to get rid of stuff. And what she would instruct people to do is to take something that you have, whatever that thing might be, is you take that thing and you pick it up and you hold it in your hands. And you hold it in your hands. And if it doesn't spark joy, if you don't feel something related to it, like if it is not tied to a memory, if it's not something, then why do you have it? It's just taking up space. And you know what? Marie Kondo's right. She's right. Like the things that what is the old trite phrase about we work to accumulate, to own things, and then the things own us? Yeah, I get it. Like we all have a latent hoarder hiding beneath the surface, and I get it's really easy to the next thing you know you have a bunch of stuff that you had no intention of having. So she's a little bit of a kook, but she's also absolutely right that there are some things we just need to let go of. So she is the unofficial spiritual guide of the canyon, in that when I am working with something, I am asking myself, like, do I want to be doing this? Does this spark joy? And many times it does not. So we get rid of it. We purge that thing from our lives. Is that going to be... Oh, that was so close. I thought, damn dig boxes. I thought we were going to get lucky and not have to rebuild a drive shaft. This might... Oh, man. We are riding the lucky train today. So I'll have to build a rear, but I will be sugared if that front drive shaft is not the exact. Let's just keep stacking bins. I have one Snap-on tool in my life. I'm looking to see if it's in the bin. No, it's over by the lathes. I found a an orange-handled, flat-bladed Snap-on screwdriver in the road. And I've been using it for decades. But I definitely bulk at that kind of tool cost. MIP is pretty expensive for me. And also, it doesn't feel like we're living in Orwell's 1984. I take that as a great compliment. And if I've mentioned this in an episode before, I apologize. My brain is old. I can't remember. But if I haven't, let me tell you this. I received as an assignment in maybe my sophomore year of high school, my English teacher said to me, you know what you should read? You should read Orwell's 1984. I think you would get a kick out of it. And it was one of those, it's high school, so it's one of those, like, you read it and then you write a report on it, etc. And I remember fairly distinctly writing the report on that particular novel and saying that Orwell's 1984 was the most boring novel I'd ever read. And I truly and genuinely hated it. And I barely made it through, and only because it was an assignment upon which a grade was based. Why is this not going? Did I actually even finish it? And then my kids were young. Let's say around both single digits. So let's say they were like 5 and 7 or something like that. And we went on a kick where we would go down to the local library and we would check out books. The kids would get books and I would get books. Dystopian fiction is probably my favorite overall genre. 1984 is certainly an entry into dystopian fiction. And then it just goes right on. Yay! So I was checking out books that I had read before, etc., right? And I checked out George Orwell's 1984. So I would have been about 40 at the time. And let me tell you, if you've had children and you've had responsibilities and you've had to live a chunk of a thing that they call life, and you read George Orwell's 1984, it will hit you like a hammer. It resonated in me to such a degree that I read George Orwell's 1984 in 2 days. I couldn't put it down. Because when you read that and you're 15 years old, it doesn't, you cannot relate to it. There's nothing to relate to. But when you got kids and all that stuff and you read Orwell, you're like, wow. And if you were born between a particular frame of years, there's a novel by Douglas Copeland called Generation X. And if you read Generation X and it doesn't hit you like a hammer, then you are not Generation X. That book is it will stick with you. It really will. The kind of lost aimlessness, kind of endemic of Generation X. I would get down on my. Did we just have it? Yeah. Orwell was prophetic then. And also, perhaps my favorite novel of all time is Aldous Huxley's Brave New World. We are living in the juicy, delicious flavor swirl of 1984 and Brave New World just collided together. It's not even a competition to see which one of them was more of a prophet. It's both. We're living in both. my one of my kids, I think my younger, had to read a book from a list. They gave him a list to read from, and one of the books on the list was Brave New World. And I was like, you're reading that. A, because we already own it. We don't have to buy it and check it out or anything. And also, I go, because it's going to get you. It's going to get you good. And they were like, as my younger likes to say to me, okay, old man. And then they read it, and they were like, I said, now, when you were reading that, did you take into consideration at all that book was written almost 100 years ago? And it was basically like, he was talking about right now. If you're too happy, there's a pill for that. If you're too sad, there's a pill for that. And I'm like, that's where we're living. That's where we're living. There's a pill for everything. Look at this. I can't. This is like multitasking. We're doing something. I'm rambling. What? Okay. Do I have it upside down? No, that's the threaded side. Is it?
Hello?
You're on the internet. What do you need? You can air up a tire.
Can I use your air thingy?
If you make that compressor kick on, 104 people are going to be mad at you. Hey, Tater! Okay, if you go to the garden shed, my pistol air gun is in there.
Oh.
You can just fill it up. See, this is what happens when people find out that you know how to do things. Yeah, Soma. Yeah. Okay, we're going to do the thing where we make no changes and then we expect a difference, which is, maybe it doesn't like this pin, so I'm going to grab this pin. And if this threads in, it's going to be negative reinforcement on me. I don't know why this is not threading in. And then we can gas it up. See? You don't do nothing. I am still waiting for a decent cinematic adaptation of Fahrenheit 451. I've not been impressed with any of the ones that I've seen. Yes, there are indeed other people. That is my neighbor. And like I say, never let people know that you can do things, because once people find out you can do things, they develop this expectation of you to do things. And my mother-in-law treats this place like this is like Willy Wonka's chocolate factory, but not for chocolates. Anything you might come here, I will just have it. And the problem is, I probably do. So when their internet breaks or the swamp cooler stops working or something happens, they just show up over here. They have showed up over here. Let me see something for an example. We'll just use a link. They will come over and they'll be like, I need another one of these. And I'll try to get all indignant about it. And I'll be like, why do you think I would have one of those? And I just go over to a bin and I get them one. So nuts, bolts, air. Oh, my bike chain is skipping. You name it. People show up. So let us do the hackiest. We're going to plug in the direct power servo. We are going to plug this into the receiver, which I just looked for the receiver on my bench, and it is in my hand. This goes to the inside, channel 1. I would like to set, I don't know why I do, but I continually wire up that second JST so that I can have the telemetry on the radio, even though all it does is just irritate me. And I think to myself, why have you done this? We don't need to know that the battery voltage is getting low because we're 4 feet away from the vehicle, but I do it every time anyway. I'm going to put some bins away so that if this thing actually moves, I feel like I don't know. That pinion angle's pretty good. the clearance on everything in here is pretty good. We've almost got a thing. He did indeed send me an RC8X. I will tell you the video of that is tomorrow on the 10th. Is on tomorrow. I'm going to be really curious to see what kind of views I get on Sunday. We'll see how many are football or hand egg people. I might say to myself that I'm going to watch some of it and then I'll forget. We'll see. All right. Those plug in right there. I've got a battery. Man. Yeah, asking me to fix their bike. Yeah, I've definitely talked about the cycling and that I've ridden a fair amount of bikes. And yeah. I don't mind getting asked about the bikes. I just try to tell them. I try to instill in them, particularly in my father-in-law, if there is a bike and there is something wrong with it, bring me the bike and don't touch it. Because he did a thing to a coaster brake mechanism that it took me 45 minutes to undo it. Like he was fixing a flat tire and then didn't pay attention to where the nuts and bolts and springs went. Man. Oh, yes, the screen on the RC8X. I have been using the RC8X since I received it. Here's some spoilers for tomorrow. And I have the screen set for on all the time. And set for, I think I have it at 70% brightness. And that thing is a battery vacuum. It will hoover the battery down. And I am accustomed to radios like this, where I put in two 18650s, and this thing will go for a couple months before I need to recharge the 18650s. And then I have extras. You just swap two out and you swap two back in. I guess, well, you know what? Perfect. If nothing else, I would put a Velcro strap around the middle of it. Let's just put these on and see how comical they look. It'll be fun. I think a Capra axle calls for a bit bigger of a tire. But we'll see. We built an RC car, as it were, in I don't know, 2 hours. Oh, and these have Injora cut blues or greens? Cut blues. Injora cut blues. Yeah, these look cartoonish. Okay, this vehicle might be square. I'm gonna have to get a ruler out, but I think we're pretty close to square. Honestly, so it's oversprung on 1-pounders, but it is not grotesquely oversprung. And I had a thought while I was bolting this up. So I have 4 holes down here. What I will probably do is take some aluminum angle and cut it down real small, mount it to these 4 screws, have it come out to the side, take another piece of aluminum angle. So here's aluminum angle 1 and here's aluminum angle 2. So it goes up, out, up. Just put 2 pieces of Velcro on it and stick the Velcro right onto the insides here. And then this will just go right like that. Look at that. That's like a thing. It looks almost like a thing. Have I got my 3D printer running yet? I don't want to say that it's still in the box. But yes, it's still in the box. It's still in the box. I keep seeing 3D printed things and I keep saying, oh, I want to get that. I want to do that. And I really need to do that. The reason that I asked for the thing for my birthday in the first place, so I could try my hand at printing 3D printed inserts. I've got like 2 spools of TPU over there. Is that the right stuff? I've got PLA, PLA plus, TPU. And I just, I don't know. I'm not saying that I get easily distracted and I bounce around from thing to thing. I might also tuck this a little heat tuck. Yeah, that body fit is not bad. It's a funny looking little thing. And if I mount the body up a little higher, I don't have to cut the chassis in the front. This might be okay. The rear shocks, I think just rear shocks is an issue. We're going to run it. We're not going to run this today, but we're going to run this, and we're going to run it pretty much like this, only we will try to refine the spaghetti a little. Like I will, are the motor wires long enough? Oh, just. Oh, that's a belt drive under there. Let's it's perfect. It's perfect. I don't think I could do any better than that. Ooh, now we're gonna find out a thing. We're gonna find this out together. Okay, you can all place bets on it, and I'm gonna get to find out before you because of that whole 15-second YouTube delay. But I'm gonna power this up. We are 50-50 that when I pull the trigger to go forward, this is gonna go backwards. Because belt drives reverse direction of rotation. So that's already on. All right, where's our button? Here we go. Now I already calibrated the radio. I was like, I'm just gonna do it here. Ninja Flex. The book Generation X is by Douglas Copeland. Yes. Dang it. What's our wheel speed look like? Not terrible. Okay. Yeah, not bad. Not bad at all. All right. Good. I'll just turn the soldering iron on. It's fine. Yeah, I think 95s. It seems like 95s are too long for the back. I think 95s are too long for the front as well. I just did a Shocko Swapo, and I have got Element 90s. I've got some 80s. There's Incision 80s. What else have I got? I've got a couple sets of shocks. There'll be something that we can get in here. We're gonna drive it around pretty much like this. Ooh. Do we think that the soldering pen is? It is. It is. Nice. We'll just let me get a little of the cancer coil out. We'll just do it live. Here's a pop quiz. How many times have y'all been electrocuted? I have worked on live electrical so much in my life that it just seems like that's the way things are done. I was installing a dimmer switch in my kid's bedroom, and they were like, "Aren't you going to turn the electricity off?" I was like, "Turn the electricity off? All that extra walking? We'll just do it like this. Just don't touch both wires at the same time, and you won't get the tickle. It's just 110. It's not going to kill me. Worst case, it knocks me down. You know, I've taken a lot of 12 volt too. Used to do a lot of car stereo stuff, and I've taken a lot of 12 volt. That might explain some things. Some people might be like, there it is. There it is. He just explained the whole thing to us. Yeah. How else do you know you're alive if you haven't taken a couple volts that day? So yeah, do I turn these off when I'm soldering on the motor? Yeah, no. Do we have dig? Look at this. We got dig. Okay. Now, the belt drive seems a little peppy. It's a little peppy. On a 16 turn, which is about a 35 turn. So we might... Oh, yeah. I touched a spark plug on my running moped. Yeah, that's high current. That's even different. That's a different feeling. And honestly, of all the pains in my life, brought about by the rapid introduction of electricity into the human body. I think top of that was I was installing a range hood, and I said, "This is all disconnected, right?" And they said, "Yep." And that was mistake number one. Never trust anybody that's telling you, yes, it's disconnected. You check and make sure that is disconnected yourself. And I took a stripper that looked just like this type of Klein stripper. And I grabbed that 12 gauge wire and I went like that. And as I pulled it, this stripped the one side and this touched the other wire, which was 220. And it basically, this stuff is probably part of the reason I'm here, the little insulation on the handle, because it blew a hole in the jaws where the 12 gauge was, about the size of a dime, about the size of an American dime. And my tool, my arm went, "Huh!" And my tool landed on the other side of the room. And I just, like 1 second, I was stripping a wire, and the next second I was on the ground. So 220 is, that's the spicy meatball. 110, well, we like to, in the industry, we call that just a little tickle. It'll just give you a little tickle. You let some tickles out and they get inside you. But I think I have gotten more like actual like pain, like it goes deeper in you from 12 volt. Working on cars, man. You get 12 volt through you, it's like that DC. That DC flavor hits you different than the AC. When it comes down to electrocution, I generally try to avoid the 12 volt. I will disconnect that negative terminal. Yes, I don't mind if I do. And I think it's because a battery at the front is basically an unregulated power supply. It can just be like, how many amps do you want? All of them? Here you go. Whereas house current is pretty strictly regulated. How many times electrocuted? Too many times. Yeah, 380. We had a table saw that ran on 440, and we wouldn't go near it. Yeah, like European wiring is like all 220 over there. I'm not working on that with the Power Live. I don't want to die today. I choose life. So, in the meantime, we're gonna find a point where I am going to mount electronics, because this is a confabulation. And much as it will pain me to do so, I think I am going to have to swap out the belt drive, because it feels like the final is that note at the high end. It just feels too crispy. Like we're too fast. And as I said, a belt drive, there's not a lot of reduction. So I'm going to have to desolder that motor and solder back on the other way. We're probably just going to put a pinion and a spur back on. And I'm going to shoot for something probably around 4-1. I like a nice even number. So I'll look through my spurs and pinions and get something put on there. I had to basically make this top shaft. Zoidberg had been converted over to use an associated slipper. And nothing fit right. So I made a new lay shaft. Turned the end off on the lathe, drilled a new hole for the cross pin, used a Dremel to Dremel out the slot in the top shaft gear so it would all fit together. I think it came out like it's relatively quiet, but I'm getting a little bit of a clunk from the belt drive, and I don't know if the belt drive is killing my real low end smoothness. Like I can't, or there's too much resistance in it. I can't quite, that little surging. Yeah. We've had a couple belt drive units which are just real happy, real nice. They just act good. And then more often than not, man, I've had two belt drive units that are just not, they're just not pleasant. How are RC cars not deadly? Yeah. Well, okay. So about speed controls, right? 80 amp. As shown, when I have the power supply running a 1080, realistically, a motor is going to be drawing 4 amps, 7 amps, something like that. That burst rating like something super high power, like if you're running a Mamba Monster or something, you could get a burst of like 1,000 amps, but you're talking milliseconds in duration. So amp hours can kill you. It's like when I had talked about like when one of these batteries cooks off. Here's nice even math about it. 1,500 milliamp hours, 1.5 amp hours. This battery will provide 1.5 amps constantly for an hour, or 90 amps for 1 minute, if the wires could handle it, and they can't. Or, what's that, 90 times 60? 96. It can produce a tremendous, my mental math just wore out, and it can produce a tremendous amount of amps for about 1 second. And we like to call that delivery of energy an explosion, because nothing about this, not the connectors, not the wires, not anything, can handle that amount of amperage for a second. Sure, they can handle it for 20 milliseconds, 5 milliseconds, because that motor is going to have this spike of draw, and then it's just going to drop down to nothing. An unloaded 1080 motor wide open at full RPM is drawing like 15 watts. It's nothing. It's absolutely nothing. So the output, a speed control is just an amplifier. It's all it is. It's like an amplifier for driving a speaker, only instead of a speaker, we have an alternating coil inside of there. It's the same thing. There are speakers that are made out of motors, so it's the same sort of thing. Their power requirements are actually very, very small. Very small. There's a welding helmet out front. Ooh, I got an Amazon delivery. Yeah, an X-Max hitting you in the head is a bigger danger. Yeah, absolutely. We went to one of those, the one time that I've driven crawlers outside of the canyon, we went over to a place in Fontana at rocks called Southridge, and it was just like a bring whatever. So people were crawling on the rocks, and here's the problem with it. Southridge is like this. Wait, we'll use this guy. It's like this. So like you get to these rocky outcroppings, and then people would roll their vehicle, and it would roll 70 feet down a hill until it got down to the bottom. And I said, at home, if you roll a vehicle, it rolls about 5 feet, and then you just flip it over with your foot. And down in the bottom, so there was like a park in the parking lot, and then right over here was just a big dirt open area. And there were dudes down there with like X-Maxes and like Baja 5s and stuff, just ripping it full tilt around this dirt area. And it was the dude that was with us got hit with a UDR. It was like launching through the air and like glanced off the back of his thigh. And like it pushed him out of the way. And I was like, I don't feel safe here. So yeah, you give some people that don't know what they're doing X-Maxes and UDRs and stuff, and you've got 20 pounds of rig flying at you at 40 miles an hour, and I would just rather not. I feel safe over here in the backyard. Where do you buy your shock pistons? Your best bet is to do just get the pistons for big bores. They will fit right in there, and they're inexpensive. It comes in a little pack, and it's like $250 if you order from the right places. So it's $5, and it'll get you. I think you get in one pack. I think you get a pair of 2-hole pistons and a pair of 3-hole pistons. So I would buy 2 packs by the $5 worth. That way you can decide if you want 2-hole or 3-hole pistons. The 3-hole piston will allow you to run like 40 weight, and the oil will save a little longer. Lighter weight oil, 2-hole piston is generally going to usually put you about 20 weight, and 20 weight basically wants to leak out. It just does. So, oh man, no, yeah, I'm not getting hit by an airplane. I really want a 4-link Zoku. Yeah, you can do it. He makes the stubby skid now, and on his chassis, it's really easy to do the 4-link, and you don't even need the stubby skid. Where's the axle? Da-da-da-da-da-da. If you just get you can buy just this part. So if you're not doing BTA, you just buy this bracket. That's a Vanquish bracket. It just bolts on, and then there's your 4th link, and then you just slap this bad dog on. And then you've got servo on axle. It would be really easy to servo and axle a Zoku chassis. And the reason that I haven't done one is that his laydown servo is so well thought out. Like, I don't mind the CMS on Eddie or Argenum or Zobazu because it's just so well done. Like, he did the homework, and the homework pays off for all of us. So that's the only reason. we were yeah. I swear by about short course size max for fun times. Bigger than that, things get serious. Yeah, I 100% agree. And I can say that as the owner of an Arma Kraton. The Arma Kraton is ridiculous. And I honestly feel like walking. Okay, for those of you unfamiliar, here is something fairly akin to a rock crawler. It's on Capra axles, so it's grotesquely wide. This is 11 inches wide, and it is 16 and a half inches from the front of the tire to the back of the tire. So this thing is pretty square. The fact that it has dig is kind of the only thing that would help this thing turn around. And how do I feel before I walk for a second? How do I feel about the stage killer? I don't know. I'm kind of okay with it. It's kind of so ugly that it comes back around again, I think. So I'm all right. You know what? I'm all right with it. We're definitely not doing any kind of overly complicated paint job on it. But I don't know how well. Let's see how well my microphone can pick me up. Wait, is it going to hear me? I'm over here. I'm behind the tire wall. Oh, it is picking me up. All right. So if you've never... why am I can't talk way over there. So, if you've never seen one up close, make sure my stream speed is going all right. Okay. If you've never seen one up close, this is fairly standard for a 10th scale rock crawler is going to be about this size, right? This is an Arma Kraton. Now, you know how things look funny in my banana hands? I can't get an Arma Kraton in the frame. This thing is ridiculous. Nobody needs this. It's so unlawfully big, I've still never gotten it to full throttle. This thing is absolutely dangerous. You bring it home, you literally, when Arma says RTR, they mean it. You get a 6S battery that is the size of like 6 iPhones glued together. And you throw it in here. I don't know if his battery is in him. It is not. And then you hit go on this, and it immediately just does a backflip and lands upside down. And yeah, and as somebody pointed out, this is the Kraton 6S. They make the Kraton EXB 8S, which is even bigger. I think the wheelbase is 20 some inches. I think it weighs like 26 pounds. This one is only like 10. But it's 10 pounds, and it will go a speed that I've never gotten this up to full speed. I still don't know how fast it will go, because you basically need a football field to get this thing up to full speed. And mine is running a 1580 kV motor the size of a soup can. So you got your outrunners, and then you have this. Motor's 4 1/4 inches long. It's a 4092. It's absurd. Everything about this is absurd. Look at the size of the speed control. It's absurd. Nobody needs it. I'm telling people, go out and get yourself one of those. What do they call them? BL2s. Get yourself a Traxxas BL2, the 4x4. Get like a Stampede or a 4x Rustler. And just drive it around and have a good time. Because I've driven this like a dozen times. And every time I drive it, there's at least one moment of what I would call terror. Where you're like, This is the end for me or someone else. And I've hit myself with it too. Yes, the 6S, the Centon 6S. My BRX02 is heavier than that. I believe it. I believe it. Yeah, I have a Limitless under the bench, and they claim 100 miles an hour out of the box, and they're not kidding. They're not kidding. I put the biggest spur gear I could get in it, and the smallest pinion that will fit with the biggest spur, and then I have this guy reaching into the camera. I have the little GPS performance analyzer to give you your speed, and my as detuned as I can get it, Arma Limitless does 69 miles an hour, as detuned as it will go. So it will do 100 miles an hour. And this thing, 50 plus easily out of this. Yeah. And its power creep. Oh, yeah. The Rift was kind of stupidly overpowered. Yeah. An RTR Rift out of the box will do 45 miles an hour. And it is on live axles, and it doesn't have any weight in the right place. And it is lethal to itself. And the reason that we end up with things like this is when I started in this with twist timer chargers and 6-cell NiCad packs, not in our wildest dreams had we ever imagined something like this. So I saw it and I was like, I'm gonna get one of those. And then I got it and I'm like, I don't dislike it. I don't think it's incredibly well made. It is everything that Traxxas promises in terms of toughness and stuff, but it actually delivers on it. And because I had gone out and bought RPM arms and RPM bumpers, because I was like, oh man, something this big is going to break stuff all the time. I have pulled a rod end out of a rod end pulled off of the end of a turnbuckle. That is the extent of injuries that's happened to this thing. And I had one where it went full side wheels, end over end, cartwheeling for like 75 feet. And then it just drives away. They really are amazingly well made. And I really want to get out and drive my Centon 6S some more, because I've gotten to drive it 2 times and it's a blast. But luckily I don't have to build a track at the house, because I have a buddy that has a track at his house, and I just go drive at his house, which is kind of the pinnacle of luxury. Yeah, speaking of speed runs over 150 miles an hour, I watched one where a guy, God bless him for posting it, he lost control on a speed run back in the peak heyday of the Traxxas X01 and hit himself in the foot and said, oh, well, that really hurt, but it's probably fine. And went home and woke up the next morning and his foot had turned a different color. And he decided to go to the emergency room and lost a toe. So he now has 9 toes because one of his toes turned necrotic and died. So yeah, speed running is terrifying. And I've done speed running up to 3S. I've never even speed run my Arma. I wanted to build a giant sedan out of it, and that's still my goal for it. But let's just say it doesn't occupy a lot of thoughts. I don't think, oh man, I should work on that Limitless race right now, because there's visible tire wear from you mush around in the street for like 15 minutes and there's visible wear on the tires. The hardcore speed run guys will go through a set of tires like in an afternoon. And I'm like, ooh. I kind of got into the crawlers and stuff because we have this thing that it's not super consumable. Like, I still have one of these sets. There's a bunch of Canyon Trails up here on the tire rack. One of these sets of Canyon Trails are the original Canyon Trails that came on Jolly Green, the first crawler that I bought, and they still work. So that's what I'm in for. And I break servo horns and I strip out ring gears and pinions and little stuff like that. But like, I'm not snapping chassis or anything like that. But at the same time, I don't have any like ravines to roll. I'm not going down to Southridge. If I was going down to Southridge and I wasn't tooling around in my backyard, I would probably have more experience in broken parts. Like I was just telling a buddy, I have never broken a servo in use on the course. And in terms of plastic parts, I've broken a couple because we're running 3S and 4S, but if it's on 4S, it's on super low kV stuff. Zoidberg, right behind me, he runs 4S, but he runs a 900 kV motor. So it's not like we're throwing smoke down on the ground. This one strikes me as too fast. And is it still on? Yeah. See that? I want that slower. I wonder. How close can we get to the ratio to where I don't have to pull the gearbox out of the vehicle to get that off? Do you think we can do it? I have my own thoughts on the SCX6. It strikes me as very power creepy because it's a 10.3. It's just enormous. And you're gonna break the parts on your enormous 10.3, and then your consumables on the enormous 10.3. I saw that a pair of Proline tires for an SCX6 is like $90. That's wild style, man. That is crazy. I'm afraid to say anything about signal strength because the signal strength seems to be going good. All right. Let's see how we did on sound. Yeah, I think all the problems, much like Gretchen and Fetch, I keep trying to make belt drives trying to happen, and it's not working. I hope somebody's getting a delivery. All right. Do we think that we can just bolt on the spur directly out of a fake Tulo, or is it not going to fit on that top shaft? It is not going to fit on that top shaft. We're going to have to cobble together a slipper, or alternately, there's every chance that I am going to have to take this thing apart again. There we go. That one fits. Pardon me. I got to find out what that is. It's a it's a roll-off flatbed with my neighbor's Jeep on it. If I wanted to snap a sneaky picture of it and then text it to him with the text that simply says it's a Jeep thing under it. I'm digging through this bin right here trying to find a 5mm spacer. Oh, not okay. $90 a set for the size of an SCX. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. There we go. I was like, it's not fair. A set of 1.9 is 70, but a 2.9 is 90. Yeah. Hey, Rick Beto. Rick Beato. That dude knows too much. That guy is straight up knowledgeable. Is that too close? That looks pretty close. Well, it's making a zzz sound, so it's clearly hitting on something. Yeah, we need more spacers. We'll make this thing move quietly. Hey. Yeah. Fast Track's trackers. How have I not heard more about Fast Track trackers, which are just, they even say Baja Pro. They say Pro X on the side of them. Oh, we're just putting whatever spacers look like they're going to work on here. No, Rick, it is Beato, isn't it? Rick Beato knows about music. I like music. I like music YouTube a lot because I have no musical ability whatsoever. I couldn't carry a tune unless you put it in a bucket. But I love music, and I like hearing about the thought processes and the organization of like how people make music. So channels like his and I'm trying to think of others. What is he? Guitar Samurai. I watch that guy. He's pretty good. I watch a lot of music content because I can't make music. Someone had asked me at some point, what are my like top crawler channels, or what crawler channels do I watch? And I said, to be honest, I catch some of this here and some of that there. I go, but by and large, I don't really watch crawler content because like I can do that. There aren't any channels that I tune into regularly to watch a specific show. I will tune in if something piques my interests, but like this is what I do. It's like I have related this analogy to many people before, and I worked for a dude, contractor, had been a contractor like for decades, and every time you would go over to his house, there would be a stack of boxed kitchen cabinets not installed in his kitchen yet. And it was because that dude was a contractor, so all day he was doing things like installing kitchen cabinets, and then he would get home and he'd be like, no, I'm not doing that. So I'm watching, like, well, now that I've had to loosen the motor, I might as well just go to a pinion size that I'm happy with. This was an 18. I would like maybe a 15. 14, 15. Well, there's an 11. That's way down. Wait, what did I say? Wanted to go about 4-1. So this should be a 56. So I want a 14. I want a 14. 14 or a 13. I'll take either. Oh, and I haven't lost my mind. I'm looking into a thing. Of course, I have a bunch of Axles. You know what? Just for ease, I'm going to take a Vanquish 15. We'll get that lined up. If I can get it on the motor far enough. Yep. The randomly chosen spacers are paying off. Oh yeah, dude. The amen brake, like fundamental, the foundation of jungle and drum and bass. That kind of stuff, the music theory, Charles Cornell, those guys, I find it fascinating. The science of it, the science behind the art. 15 is okay. 16 would probably mesh a little tighter. Why did I get the whole drawer out? All right, let's see here. Whoop. Now we got a gear. Ooh, okay, yeah, let's. This is all terrifying now. I'm gonna eat a wire. Yeah. Oh, is it still on? Yeah, buddy. Do you know how many nights I've forgotten my soldering iron on? It's a lot. This is a Hakko 936 with 907 pen. I think the only thing Hakko still makes is the FX 888, which is basically like the same guts. Man, do I love my 936. And this is why I just hardwire motors and I don't do connectors. It's what we call points of failure. If you hardwire your stuff, you're removing just one more point of failure. So that if something happens, It's not going to come unplugged. Yes, that does date back primarily to the Go Fast stuff where you were trying to minimize how many things were going to break when you had no control over it. But at the same time, yeah, we're going to have to... I don't like gear covers, and part of me is like, just get a gear cover out of the thing. You got like 8 of them. Yeah, I could go a little smaller. That's not bad. Yeah, the Vanquish pinions, or whoever is supplying for Vanquish. Oh, it's some steering. Yeah! All right, you know what? It's a thing. It is definitely a thing. We have made a thing. We're going to clean it up. We're going to clean it up. As I said, that fit because of the way that this thing is built. This spur is just a hair too small. So maybe I will get a way to slap. I might have one. I already put the drawer away. I might have an 87 tooth Kimbrough. Throw that on there. 48 pitch is nice because it gives you more control. It gives you more fidelity over your gearing. You can get tighter. $15 for a pinion? Yes. Okay. If you're shopping for pinion gears, go on Amazon and buy, where's the thing? You can buy, they look like, you can buy these pinions on Amazon, which, there we go. We'll see if we can get a focus on this. So they'll have it lasered on the butt, like this says 48 pitch, 13 tooth. They'll come in a pack that go like 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. It'll usually be 5 or 6 pinions in a set, and it'll be like $10, $10 or $11 for these. And what I tell everybody to do, buy like 13 through the 24. So buy the 2 packs. Spend $20 on those pinions. Then you will have all those pinions. And you can do it in 48 and 32. Then you will have all those pinions. And then this gives you freedom. Because when you're setting up a rig like this, because we're mixing a random gearbox and axles, we don't know what we're going to want our final to be. So I will pick a gear and I will get it set to where I want it. And then after I have that, once I know that number, I will go buy a Robinson Aluminum Pro, or I will buy, that's an Aluminum Pro. There should be another bag here with a Robinson Absolute in it. You can get away with either on a rock crawler. We don't really need hardened steel pinions. As long as you're running a plastic or a Delrin spur, so nylon or Delrin, you can get away with aluminum pinions, and it is removing rotating mass at the most fundamental level. It's the first, thermodynamic laws here. We're losing efficiency with every time a gear is touching a gear. So if your very first gear is a very light one, that gives you the opportunity to save. That's just a little bit less loss. The loss is going to occur later on down the line. I really like those Aluminum Pro pinions. Yeah, everyone's running 32 because 32 is it's just more robust. I probably honestly have more 32 pitch rigs here because most things come with 32, and I'm not a gear cover guy. So running 32 out in the open, you worry about it a lot less than running 48s. But if I would run 48s on him, no problem. Oh man, I'm missing a whole Junglist Massive drum and bass. Yeah, I would have to say that in my listening, so I'm not saying that I got started late, because one of my first introductions was we were all putting Boomin systems in the cars. So it was Bass 305 and Kraftwerk and stuff like that, going way back, and then DJ Magic Mike and Bass Mechanic and all those. I didn't realize that I had already started listening to electronic music as a genre yet. But for me, I would have to say the turning point goes to Ronnie Size Represent. That self-titled album from Ronnie Says Represent was like game-changing stuff for me. Early 90s, Brown Paper Bag, those tracks, like when it was still called Jungle, that was the stuff for me, and it's been nonstop ever since. Oh, Aphex Twin is one of my favorite artists of all time. You can look it up on YouTube. There is a high school band that does a steel drum cover of Alberto Balsam, and I think it is one of the most beautiful songs I've ever heard. And you can see another one by an orchestra doing a cover of Flim from Aphex Twin, which is also absolutely beautiful. Like, it's a dude that has synesthesia and is probably on some kind of spectrum or another and makes music in a shed and creates some of the most beautiful music. That dude is Richard D. James is a Mozart of our time. And as far as I'm concerned, underappreciated. And when you go back and listen to like selected ambient works and you listen to the music he was making in the late 80s and early 90s, you go, this dude was 25 years ahead of his time. He really was. And still is. Oh, yeah. Punk ska guy. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. We used to go to ska shows. There used to be a club in Riverside called Spanky's, and we used to go to ska shows all the time. I saw the Selector perform at Cal State San Bernardino. I saw No Doubt as the opening act for a ska band called the Specs that never even got an album deal and never even put out a proper record, just like white label stuff, at a club in Riverside before No Doubt was No Doubt. And ska music, again, another underappreciated genre. And I can't tell you, am I a foundation guy? Am I a two-tone guy? Am I a third wave guy? I don't know. They're all great. They're all great. Probably a two-tone guy if I had to pick. It's Madness, and it's Prince Buster, it's Fatty Buster Blood Vessel. I love it all. As I said, I've said it before. I have a musical taste, and my musical taste is ABC. It's anything but country, because I think country stopped when shortly after, I don't know if you get to like Reba in that area, Reba McEntire, you get around there, we could still get country music. And now country music is all the same to me. It's pop with twang, and every song by a female country artist is about how her man done him wrong. And every country song by a dude is about how America is the best America. Beer, trucks, my dog. And I guess it appeals to a certain group of people, but it does not appeal. I do not currently own a pair of checkered shoes, but you would be a fool to think that I have never owned a pair of checkered shoes. Classical music, absolutely. I think that I agree. There's a dude that has a YouTube short where he says that Peer Gynt's In the Hall of the Mountain King is the first heavy metal song ever written, and it's one of my favorite pieces. I love it. I love it. I don't care what anybody says. I think Vivaldi's Four Seasons is brilliant. And sometimes when you're sitting on the right day, in the right frame of mind, and you put that on in the background, I swear to God, it makes you more productive. It really does. And who doesn't like Mozart and Bach and all of those guys? It's all good. And also, as I had mentioned lightly, that I was into the car audio thing, putting stereos in cars. I had tortured my friends and associates for years because I told them, if you're building a system and it's not just to boom, boom, shake the room, and you really want to see if that system is working, then you get yourself one of those like super audio CDs of a concerto from whoever. Mozart, and pick them, put it in there, and I guarantee you, most of your car systems are going to sound like hot garbage, because no music being put out now, nothing in the popular arena, everything is so hyper compressed and overproduced and hyper tuned that it's actually only existing in this narrow bandwidth, the airplay bandwidth. You put really properly mastered classical music on something, and it's from the bassiest bass to the trebliest treble, it's all there all at once. And cars are notoriously bad at reproducing stuff like that. Dark Side of the Moon is unquestionably one of the best albums ever made. From a time when, and I am old enough to say the word album, when things were made as an album. And yeah, Dark Side of the Moon. I mean, we ignore all the stuff about how it lines up with Wizard of Oz and all that. Just, you sit down, you don't even need a substance. You just sit down with yourself in your mind, and you sit down and you take in Dark Side of the Moon, just as from a start to a finish. There are certain albums out there that have to be listened to in their totality, and I think Dark Side of the Moon is definitely one of them. Which one is pink? What did I miss? Oh man, I have been sleeping on the chat. Yeah. You know what? I'm going to have to sit down. Here's what I do. I've got a little bit of the Gen Z in me. Like, you know how they do those, you'll see them in, well, the evolution of the short. So Instagram Reels, YouTube Shorts, things that are generally going for about 20 seconds. And you'll notice on those like 1 minute long YouTube Shorts, if you ever peruse the shorts, sometimes they're cut in half this way or cut in half, and there's like something flashy down here, and then whatever's going on up here. And this is presumably to hold the attention of the youths, because they have no attention span. And I think I have a little bit of that Gen Z in me, because unless a video game has really hooked me, I will have the video game on this screen, and on this screen, it's music videos, it's YouTube videos, it's something going on. I'm binging The Bear. It's something going on over here, and a video game or whatever I'm working on over here. So there's always a noise. I'm out here right now, and I'm streaming, and we just crossed over 3 hours, which is bonkers. And the only sound is the sound of my own voice. And Alan Parsons Project was fantastic. So, yeah, I am very easily distracted by the chat. So I could honestly, my wife was like, how long are you going to be out there? And I was like, I don't know. As long as the equipment will allow it to happen, and as long as the people will have me. And, I mean, here's the beauty. I had said this about bike rides, where I got into it so deep that I would go on an entire bike ride and get to the end of it and not remember any of it. I don't really remember making this. I remember bits and pieces of it, but it just kind of went together. It won't take too much. Oh man. Let me make a comment about the samples thing. I love sampling, and I think it should almost exclusively be under fair use, because most people are just using this tiny little bit of it. TrackLib does these little videos. Go look up TrackLib on YouTube, and they will show where artists get samples. The stuff that guys like Daft Punk and Kanye West, who has now gone insane, but back before he was insane, what Kanye West had done with samples, where he would get these samples, they absolutely blow my mind. Sampling is amazing, and to this day, a song will come on, and I will already start singing the words for the intro to that song, and nope, it's some sample by some nouveau, late millennial, early Gen Z that I don't understand. I don't understand most of it. I'm definitely getting that feeling that I'm getting too old for some music, because some of it I can kind of, yeah, yeah, you kind of nod your head to it. And I'm like, yeah, this is all right. And then I think like, I'm hip. I'm with it. Katy Perry is cool. And then I'm like, yeah, Katy Perry was like, do the kids even know who Katy Perry is anymore? Like the songs that she was big were when I was building this building. So that was 15 years ago. Like, kids don't know. Oh, I tell you, getting old is a wild experience, man. I don't know if I recommend it, but I don't recommend the alternative. Not getting old seems to be an overcorrection. And as we have proven in these last 3 hours, my friends, my compatriots, we may be getting old, but if you know what I mean, we ain't getting old. It's toy cars, baby. There's a lot of Gen X. There's a lot of Gen X in here. You 70, 71. I was born during the presidential term of Richard Milhouse Nixon. So yeah, we're getting old, but we ain't getting old. And I'm assuming that the phrase that came out of World War II, but I don't think really became prevalent until the boomers were having kids, which is us. And they didn't raise us. So I got the official clinical diagnosis when I was in the 5th grade of being a latchkey kid. Shout out to all my latchkey kids. If y'all raised yourself, throw your hands to the sky. Been doing my own laundry, been cooking my own food, been doing all that since I was 10 years old. And I got up and took myself to school every morning. No parental supervision. It wasn't even about, you get those early millennials, you get the late Gen Xers that are like, yeah, Mom and Dad didn't even make us come home until the streetlights came on. And I was like, nobody made me come home. I came home because I had to get my laundry done and get up for school the next day. And what it does is it breeds into you a sense of responsibility that is not acceptable in someone who is 10 years old. Because then you will continue to try to recapture your lost childhood for the rest of your life. And I think that might be a little bit of a common thread that runs a little bit. That thread is running a little bit through all of us. We are all trying to hang on either to times gone by, or at least in my case, I don't want to speak for anybody else, but to times that we never even got to have. We didn't get those times. I didn't have a childhood. I was diagnosed as a latchkey kid because my father was into the substances, as many of the 70s and 80s were, and he would just be gone, man, for like days. I just thought that was normal. Like, that was just normal. Because my friends and associates that I grew up, it was the same thing. They had no supervision of any kind. We were wildlings. We were just out on our own living. And now, when my back hurts all the time, and I got responsibilities, and everything is mad expensive, now, of course, in the divine joke of the universe, now I have the time and money to play with toy cars as often as I want. But thanks to it occurring here now in this our future, I get to share it with all of you lovely people. And I didn't even have to point this out to my wife. She pointed it out to me. She was like, you realize that you have I believe the phrasing that is often used is habit forming personality. I hadn't ridden a bicycle in over 20 years, and I rode 7,000 miles the first year I bought one. I built a giant rock crawling course in my backyard, and I have 40 rock crawlers. This is all normal. This is all normal by my measure. By the measure of any sane person, this is crazy behavior. Yeah. So yeah, it is a trademark of our generation, and it is why a lot of people don't understand. Because then we overcorrected. My parents divorced when I was too young to even remember it, and so that instilled in me this. I'm not me. Not me. As I tell my wife, half jokingly, I tell her, babe, the vows said till death, so you can't get rid of me. It is till death, and I wasn't. If I love my wife, but it was one of those things where Mama didn't raise me at all, so you can be damn sure she didn't raise no quitter. I wasn't going to quit, so I'm going to. I would have stayed together for the kids if it had gone horribly wrong, and it didn't. My wife is wonderful, like absolutely wonderful, and we have similar addictions. Like, right, I'm not addicted to this. I can quit anytime I want. My wife has developed this addiction to working out. Like, she has a trainer, she goes to the gym, she works out. Oh no. But this is the reason I don't drink. I don't smoke. I don't do none of it. I can't afford it. It's what's the old joke? Are you afraid you might have a cocaine habit? Look into restoring classic cars. You won't have any money for cocaine. And that is isn't adulthood just a childhood but with money? If you're doing it right, I would say if you're doing it right, yeah, I would hold on to that. And if your wife is hooked on working out, that's not a bad place. That's not a bad place to be. I think we're all doing pretty well. Here we are on YouTube, and we're just having a day of it. And I am going to, as much as it pains me, and it does pain me to a degree. Don't get me. See how perfect was the sign right there, as I was just out of frame for like 5 minutes. But yes, let me begin the Midwest process. Let me begin by saying, yes, I would absolutely love this to be a regular thing, whether it be on Friday or Saturday or Sunday, or Friday or Saturday or Sunday. I'm going to try to get these in once a week. There will be a weekly update episode going live in about 50 minutes because zero confidence. I was afraid that I was afraid something wasn't going to work. Like, hey, just keep watching these little bars down at the bottom of the screen, drop and then come back up, and then drop and then come back up. At this point in this, we've lost 25,900 frames at 30 frames per second, but we've been broadcasting for 3 hours and 15 minutes. So I think that's actually just a tiny little fragment of it. I have thoroughly enjoyed this, and doing this on a Friday. If this is the kind of turnout I can get on a Friday afternoon, then we might have to start doing this on Fridays, because this was a blasty, man. Like, I enjoyed this tremendously, and the equipment held up. And as I proudly pointed out, I had to buy one thing to make this happen. And I had put off streaming for a couple of years because I thought that there was going to be too much of a hurdle to hop over. And as it turns out, that is not the case at all. I needed a thing that turns an HDMI into a USB. You have to buy a thing called an Elgato. And then guess what? Y'all streaming. So I am probably going to set it to where these, so the archive of this will go up on like Sundays. I don't know how long it takes YouTube to do that. This is the first one we've ever done. Will we go 3 hours every time? I don't know. We're gonna play it by ear. But to be as honest as honest, I'm starting to get kind of a headache because I'm generally out here by myself. I can't remember the last time I spoke for 3 straight hours. This is as tired as I'm going to be today. I'm going to pep up after this. So I thank you all truly and sincerely so much for joining me here. We're all going to name this apocalypse together. Born of the Stream. God, it's weird looking. Isn't it weird looking? It's kind of insect-like. It's weird looking. We're gonna get it put together, and we are going to we're gonna drive it together. And yeah, this could very well become the replacement for the State of the Canyon, where we just talk it out, man. We talk it out and we'll wrench on some stuff. And when people ask questions, this is the dream, because I can just be like, yes, or yes. I can just pull things out and be like, here's how this works. So here's what I would do. Yeah, that's what we're going to do. And we're going to move forward with that. So we'll pencil it in on your schedules. Friday at noon. We're going to go for a couple hours. I'm generally free around this time. I had a fantastic burrito for lunch. It was very good. I've had a fantastic time with all of you. And honestly, I think I need to have a lay down. So we're going to make sure everything's off. Yep, soldering station is off. This rig is off. I will come out here probably sometime tomorrow and get the spaghetti taken care of. Probably Cabra Fabble up some. Oh, let's answer a question that nobody asked, but I'm curious. It's not a Midwest goodbye unless it takes at least 10 minutes. So, I took the battery out. Put in your guesses for what this is going to weigh. $2,865. That is 6.3 pounds, and we know why. Because the front axle, and then these are the 70 grams. So this is a kilo of wheelos, and this front axle is 700 grams. So 1,700 grams of this vehicle's total weight is the front axle and the tires. So, what does it do? Well, it makes us want to get a skid and put a Tulo in there with an outrunner on it, and we could get this rig out to about 4 pounds, under 2 kilos. No, we're going to run it like this. We're going to do what I said we were going to do, and we're going to see how it do. All right. I loved having you. I definitely look forward to seeing you in the next one. The next one of these, hopefully before the next one of these. It's going to be a whole week. Oh yeah. I've just been reminded there's a package right outside. I will see you all very soon. You can tune in about 45 minutes and see another weekly update. Before I go, the front axle, that's just this is a Capra. This is a stock Capra axle with deluxe weights on it. I'm gonna see you again all very soon. Yes, I did turn off my soldering iron. I will I got another warning. I'm dropping frames. I will see you again. And as a famous woman from Texas, it would be improper if we didn't end our very first live stream by quoting the woman from Texas who says, I'm going to have to let you go. I'll see you next time, everybody.